doomed. On the track we are consumed. Adrenaline rush, heartbeats race, the thrill of speed taking place. Defend the lead, it's not a chase. Gran Turismo sets the pace. Under moonlit skies we soar. Every pass makes spirits roar. Defending honor, never bored.
Welcome to the Nighthawk Racing F1 RST Championship. Firstly, I'm Sarah Hawkey, and you can find myself and the rest of our community here on the Nighthawk Racing YouTube channel. There are various features and playlists for you to watch and enjoy, covering non-championship events, mini-series racing, and our main series of F1 RST with seasons 1 through to 4 with full coverage and commentary available to watch. All races also feature great competitive action alongside community and team racing, leaving many smiles as well as thrills and spills. Please also check out our Instagram and TikTok in the description below, or you can use the QR code across the video that will provide you with the link tree, more content and information for you to have a scan through as well. Before we get into the racing itself, here is an outline of the racing and the championship and what to expect in Season 5. So as you can see on screen at the moment, we have a 10 event calendar featuring red and blue lobby racing, and you can see that we go to many different tracks across the season, all tracks presenting themselves with unique characteristics, so it should be a pretty fun season ahead, and I can't wait to see how all the drivers get on. We're talking about the events itself. There are 2 races per event, with a sprint race which will last approximately 20 minutes and then a feature race at 1 hour to 65 minutes respectively. The grid for the sprint race is ordered in reverse average points scored across the season. Up next is the main feature race, which is supported by a 10-minute qualifying session. Qualifying itself is highly important, as not only does it set the outright grid for the feature race, but competitors have to begin their strategic calls in qualifying, as when the driver sets their fastest lap, the compound of tyre they use for that fastest lap then becomes their mandatory tyre compound for the start of the feature race. So as you can see, strategy is important, especially during qualifying. But here in F1 RST, every session is important, and also comes with its own rewards. Both racing events come with increasing points for each position gained, as well as the potential of fastest lap points to be earned for those finishing within the top 10. Qualifying itself also rewards the top 3 positions with a little extra dynamic thought and strategy throughout the event and season. So as you can tell, points make prizes. As a reminder for all, sprint races have completely open strategy calls and tyre choices with a rolling start. But the feature race, on top of the qualifying start tyre compound requirement, has a grid start, and all drivers must use 2 different choices of tyre compounds. Today we are racing around the awesome track of Dragon Trail Seaside Reverse, and it is a fictional track that first appeared in GT Sport. The track itself is 3.2 miles or 5.2 kilometers long. It is fictional, like I said, and it is set in Croatia, and like the name suggests, it is located alongside the seaside. It has 17 turns in total, and the track is known for its triangular shape, but also contains hidden depths that add to its complexity, most notable of which is hillside settings, thus having steep inclines and declines portions of the track. Also, between the 3 hairpins that make up the points of the triangle, there are 3 different types of chicanes that must be approached slightly differently. The one that we all notably know is what I call the death chicane, also known as the death chicane, as that sector there and that chicane is very difficult to get right, and getting it right is the most important thing. Otherwise the death chicken will claim another victim, because those walls are very tight. But it's a mid-speed circuit, and in reverse the track presents unique challenges such as navigating those steep inclines, aggressive curbs and blind sections. Key features obviously those 3 hairpin turns and the different types of chicanes, and obviously the ability to drive the track in reverse. But like I say, obviously be careful of the death chicken, don't want it claiming another victim, so be careful out there.
And before we get to the racing, we have a quick look at the championship standings, with Katie Nakai taking a commanding lead out of Barcelona in round 1. We then have 6 drivers fighting over P2, only 5 points apart, with Pedro and Koulios leading the way, only a couple of points ahead of Nigel Mansnail, with McManley close behind. If there's one thing that we have seen from round 1 of season 5, there is going to be a lot of competition up and down both red and blue lobbies, each individual vying for points and positions. Good luck to everyone out there for round 2 at Dragon Trail Reverse. And here we are for season 5 round 2, sprint race of blue lobby. So Sarah, can you do the top half please?
Of course I can. In pole position for the second sprint race of the season is Sturdy Motorsport in that Dodge Viper. In P2 we have Super Simon in the BMW M6. In P3 we have one of our newcomers, Welsh Smurf, in the Ford GT. Back again for some more action. In P4 again, back for some more Nighthawk action. We have DJ Cypher in that Lamborghini Huracan. In P5 we then have Damo in the Porsche 911. In P6 we then have T50 Gary back again in the GTR, and then in P7 we have Citterley in the Lexus. All of the drivers looking for a good round 2. Obviously all had a pretty good round 1, but I'm going to pass over to Midnight, who's going to run through the rest of the grid.
Thank you, Sarah. And in P8 we have in that Lexus Chaos Druid himself. Then we have in P9 one of our very own admin, the crazy Bertie in that McLaren. Then we have a returning driver, missing the first round unfortunately, but back with a vengeance, not in the RX Vision this time, but in the Lamborghini with Giles. Then in P11 we have Joe Nisbet, a new driver to the championship. I'm going to wish him the best of luck, particularly here in his first race with us in the second race of our season. Let's see what he can bring to the table. Then another returning driver, unfortunately also missing the first race, but T50 Phil, previously seen in a GTR, this time in a Ferrari 458. So changing up a bit on this one, so good luck to him on that. And then we have Murph in P13, again in that Supra. He's going to be going fast and looking good while he does it. And then in P14 in the McLaren Sparky. So, Sarah, that looks like a very interesting and competitive grid in there. Any tips for the win on this one, or at least a podium?
Oh, got to say, I think obviously Phil in the Ferrari, he did pretty well in the GTR. So obviously coming from the back of the grid, there's a little bit of a challenge in his hands, but I wouldn't write him off. Also Giles as well. We obviously know how his aggressive driving style. He likes to worm his way through the pack onto the top spot of the podium, so I wouldn't write him off either. I think obviously around here, Dragon Trail, it's going to be obviously consistency for the win massively, and basically staying out of the Death Chicken's way. So anyone could have a good race here, as long as the Death Chicken doesn't claim any more victims.
Yeah, I'm going to completely agree with you there. And one thing I will point out as well, that we saw a lot of progression in practice from Sturdy as well, so good luck to him in his second race with us. It's great to see progression, and it is going to be paying him back dividends, particularly later in the season, so keep on going. But for the top podium positions, yeah, keep an eye out on, like you said, T50 Phil, Giles. I want to add into that equation Big Crazy Bert. He can always spring a surprise when you don't expect him to. I want to see also Joe do well, but other than that, we've got Citterley coming down from Red Lobby, and he's going to be eager to get back there, so he's going to be wanting some really solid points. And other than that, DJ Cypher himself, he was looking particularly quick in practice. But with that in mind, Sarah, let's hand over to the commentators and get on with that sprint race.
Let's do it.
Alright, so leading us away for the Season 5 Round 2 sprint race at Dragon Trail, we have Sturdy, followed by Simon, Smurf, Cypher, Damo and Gary being our top 6 as we get underway. It looks like maybe a little bit of a slow start there for Cypher, but he shouldn't really be challenged into the first corner as Sturdy takes a commanding lead into first place. It looks like there was an incident behind between Cypher and Smurf, but Cypher getting the position and gaining it on the exit up at the first corner is not quite running side by side.
Gary's had a moment as well.
Gary, yeah, what's happened back there? Is he spun?
Not sure, he's had a bit of an incident.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a death.
Yeah,
The chicane of many deaths.
it seems like there has been quite a bit of an incident there. Oh, I think it looked like possibly somebody hit towards the front, hit the wall and caused it to all check up. Bonner?
Yeah, I think it was Simon a little bit early on the brakes. It caught the Cypher out. I'm surprised. And Simon's off again.
Yeah,
So what's happened there? He's took Murph with him. Murph's waiting for him now, so I'm not sure who's at fault there. Sturdy's still leading Welsh. Sitley up there as well.
It looks like Giles also went off in that little S section on the back straight. Looking back towards the front of the pack, it seems like everybody's starting to.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Damo's just. Yeah.
He exploded in
Who's
there.
sent off? Yeah, Sturdy's been sent off.
Yeah, well, so go back on to first place. We have Smurf leading us at the end of the first lap, possibly coming under a bit of threat from Bertie. As it looks like maybe a little bit of contact there between the two drivers. As it looks like Phil has got a good run out of that final proper corner and has a decent run on Bertie down the pitch straight. But
yeah, this is looking quite tasty going into turn one. But we've got almost 4 wide into turn one. Who's going to come out on top here? He's gone down the inside.
it looks like he's the big gainer there up into second place for him. Quite a good start there. I believe he was starting down in the mid-pack, but really managed to take full advantage of all the chaos that unfolded to be able to run up into second.
Yeah.
As we look down the pack, it looks like chaos, well, Druid, should I say, he got a little bit squirrely on the exit of the left chicane and allowed Phil up into the podium positions as they run onto the back straight. Looking down, further down, it looks like Nisbet and Gary going side by side. Gary running up in P6. And it seems like everybody started to straighten out a bit. Although it looks like Merv having a bit of an incident there at the left-hander before the back straight, picking up a bit of damage again on the front and the front right.
Yeah, oh, and we see Welsh turning into a lawnmower there. Have a look who's got Bertie's took advantage of that. Phil's had a really good start as well. Sitley seems to be hanging on to them as well.
Yeah, the top battle for the lead is really heating up at the minute. Battle between 4 drivers as Bertie is doing quite well, wouldn't you say? Up in the lead. It looks like he's only going forward this race. Yeah,
Phil's doing quite well as well. He's staying with him.
It looks like
and we've got Chaos. Yeah, Chaos and Sitley behind in the 2 Lexuses.
NXI.
Yeah, the
NXI, you could say. It looks like Phil going to the inside into the first corner, breaking a little bit early, maybe catching Chaos Druid off a little bit by surprise there. It looks like there may have been a little bit of contact between the 2 drivers, but it looks like Bertie had a much better run than Phil out the exit of the first corner, but choosing to stay behind the run down to the death chicane.
See Damo applying a little bit of pressure to Sparky as well, and Phil hitting the wall.
Yeah, allowing Bertie to sneak up back into the lead. He lost it at the first corner, but he's got it back half a lap later. As it looks like Druid dives down the inside
as well. Yeah,
diving up the inside of Phil to take second place, but Phil getting the cut back, which allows him to challenge up in this little downhill S section. It's not really a place you want to be going side by side, is it, Potter?
Not really. What you're touching those curbs is almost certain death as well. Just see Sitley sitting very patiently behind everyone, waiting for his chance to launch an attack. What else have we got back here?
Is he possibly going to have a look into this little tight left-hander? He thinks better of it. Sits behind Phil, possibly looking to maybe make a move up into turn 1 using the slipstream and the power of that V8 Lexus.
Yeah, he's quite good on the straights, that Lexus.
So you're a pretty decent driver yourself, but who do you think has the best chance to win it at the moment?
Well, I don't know about that. Phil's showing some good pace at the moment. But Bertie and you can't rule out Sitterly as well. He's doing quite well.
Well, looking further down the pack, it looks like Giles, who's currently in 7th place, has the fastest lap. So yeah, he certainly seems to have a bit of a turn of speed in that Lambo. It'll be interesting
we'll
to see how
keep
much
an eye on him.
further he can pull up through the pack as he's sat behind Nisbet and Gary at the moment. As it looks like
Nisbet's not going to be easy.
Just looking at Sitley, it looks like he possibly made a move there into turn 1 on Druid, promoting himself up into the podium positions. Maybe keeping Phil a little bit honest there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, just a little bit. See Damo coming through the chicane of many deaths.
Oh, yeah, just looking back at Sturdy, he seems to not having a good time there in the the final corner.
No, he's not. He's had a suboptimal start to this race, you'd say.
Yeah, unfortunately running down the back at the moment, but I'm sure it's all still in there to play for, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Let's see if he can recover. The pace of that Viper is quite good as well around here.
Yeah, it looks like City possibly looking to go or shape up and move on Phil on this lap, running towards the end of lap 4 in this 11-lap sprint race. Bertie is leading out front, followed by Phil.
He's starting to build a little bit of a gap to Phil.
Yeah, is what you want round here, wouldn't you say, Potter?
Yeah, the slipstream on this back straight. Yeah, it's not great if you're the leading car.
From the experience from your race, would you say you'd prefer to have clean air and not run in the trainer car?
Definitely. The Porsche, especially, doesn't really have good top speed around here, but pretty much anywhere, to be fair. So this track in particular, the slipstream is quite bad for the Porsche drivers.
It looks like Giles has made 2 positions on that previous lap as well, going from 7th up into 5th. And although he doesn't have the fastest lap no more, Phil now has it with a 42.5. You've got to say Giles has got to be looking at charging forward, although he looks like he has struck the wall at the death chicane and picked up front damage.
I think Welsh has just hit it as well. Italy still sitting patiently behind Bertie. Oh, Bertie must have had an issue.
Yeah, somewhere it looks like he has lost the lead to Phil at this moment, as we see a Viper parked up there on the left. Possible retirement there, unfortunately, for Sturdy.
Yeah.
We hope to see him do better in the feature race. Yeah, it seems like everybody's started to spread out a little bit now, Potter. From you, as you were saying, from your experience when you raced here, you enjoyed the clean air more so than the dirty air?
I did tend to find myself in no man's land around here, though. Couldn't really make any sort of gain on the leaders in front of me, and just sort of stayed in no man's land really. So I had a pretty quiet race.
As it looks like Sitley might be looking at making his move on Bertie for 2nd position. He's got that Lexus tucked up right behind that McLaren. Is he going to pull to the inside? Thinks better of it for now, but is he going to try and carry the momentum through the corner to get a better exit and run down towards that death chicane? It looks like Bertie has just done enough on the exit there, done enough to get that good run off the corner and hold that position for now. As it looks like they've seemed to have dropped Chaos Druid a little bit there, Potter.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if he can catch up to the back of Sitley as well.
I gotta say, yeah, I think I must agree with you. It seems the clear air really does work around here because Phil on the previous lap.
Yeah. Oh, Giles going for a massive dive. Can he make it stick? He can't. Oh.
Seems a little bit argy-bargy. He got his elbows out there, didn't he, Druid?
Just a little bit.
Not quite leaving enough room there, but I'm sure that'll be one for the stewards to have a look at. But as I was saying, clean air really does seem to be king round here.
It does. Phil's, he's took a second out of his previous quickest.
And gotta say, Bertie's doing well as well, still running up in P2, being able to keep what is probably the faster Lexus behind him around this circuit.
Yeah, Sitley will will sit there patiently and wait for his opportunity. I suspect, from experience with racing him at high speed ring as well, you often don't know he's there until he's past you.
A little sneaky move. He likes to make a sneaky move. Talking about someone who isn't patient when it comes to making a move, it looks like Giles is still on the hunt, chasing that the fellow Lexus driver down of a Druid in towards turn one. Maybe a little bit too far back to make a move this lap, but you got to say it's only a matter of time for he wants to get.
He's made up quite a big gap onto back up to the back of Chaos.
And I'm wondering if we'll see a little bit more argy-bargy action between the two British drivers.
Hopefully not into the chicane.
Oh yeah, you gotta be brave. You gotta be brave.
You gotta be really brave.
Side by side into the chicane. Looking down the pack, no one else has really got any damage at the moment. Damo, actually, interestingly enough, I've just noticed, actually started on the soft tire, where everybody else running on the mediums.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to fare towards the end of the race. It was something I had looked at for my race, but deemed it a little bit dangerous.
Well, as a Damo, a fellow Porsche driver, as we mentioned before.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he can take those softs to the end. I know I couldn't.
A little bit of a brave call from Damo.
Let's see if it works out for him.
It seems like he may be possibly catching Smurf as they run up into as they both start the final sector on lap 7. It does seem like
looking like he's lining up a bit of a move, maybe into the back straight.
You want to talk us through it then, Potter?
I don't think he's quite close enough, but we'll see. That Lexus is fast, but the McLaren is also pretty fast in a straight line. He's having a bit of a sneaky look up the inside and thinks better of it. Tucks in back behind. See,
you got to say, Potter, you got to move. Yeah,
what was you going to say? Sorry.
Trying to hold it around the go around the outside of Druid in the first corner, using the camber of the circuit to get a bit of a better exit than Druid. You know, Druid taking the high line.
Turn 1 does seem a bit of an odd one. You could take both the high line and the low line and seem to come out okay regardless. He just has a brush with the barrier.
Is that going?
And he's done a die as well and let Gary past.
Well, Gary
as well as Nisbet, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we got plenty of laps left. We got 4 full racer laps to go after this one, so I'm sure he'll be able to make up some places given the pace he's shown.
Still having another look in the through the S's, which is optimistic.
Very, very brave, as we mentioned before. It is really a one-line section. You've got to have either much more pace or much fresher tyres to really be able to do anything through that section.
Yeah, one slip off them curbs and you're almost guaranteed to be facing the wrong way.
Or picking up severe damage.
Yeah.
At what point, Fodder, if you're the driver behind, do you think of making an attack? Although Bertie has fresher tyres and Bertie has both fresher tyres and less fuel, so you got to say it's advantage McLaren at the minute with only a few laps to go.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but it only takes one mistake, which is quite easily done around this track.
Yeah, as we've seen plenty of points in this race, drivers maybe being a little bit careless for that chicane, being a little bit too optimistic, taking a bit too much speed, and then just scraping the wall and picking up a little bit of damage.
Yep. Phil's building quite a nice lead now back to Bertie.
Yeah, it's got to be a few seconds now, about 2.5, 3 seconds, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I'd say something like that.
It looks like we may have lost a driver as well, unfortunately. Possibly, I believe it would be the Viper of Sturdy that we saw parked up on the left hand of the back straight a few laps ago. I'm sure we'll see him again for the feature race, and he'll hopefully do a bit better than this unfortunate retirement. Yeah,
I think it was just a bit unfortunate this race.
Yeah, bad races happen, but it's like me at Catalunya. You know, bad races happen. It's just how you bounce back from them.
Yep, I'm sure he'll have learned some things ready for the feature, so we'll see what he can do.
I don't think you know anything about having a bad race, do you, Potter?
Oh, I know plenty about bad races, especially sprints. Sprints historically don't go very well for me.
Well, it looks like our top three heading on to with 2 laps remaining is Phil, Bertie, and Sitley. It looks like Giles is trying his best to hunt down, although he may have lost a bit of time to the drives in front, wouldn't you say?
Yep. He seems to have slowed down a little bit, and he's not really catching the guys in front. But he's managed to pull a little bit of a gap to Sitley as well.
So you really, and he possibly seems to be catching Phil up a little bit. That gap seems to have come down ever so slightly from the previous lap.
Yeah, whether Phil's made a mistake or Bertie's finally got into the rhythm.
Sitley's made a slight mistake for Crash Kane, scraping the wall and picking up damage on the front, which isn't going to help his chase of Bertie. Unfortunately,
Not
as
this close
Giles
to the end
is Giles is also off of that left-hander before the wiggly section. Well, before the wiggly section, as I mentioned.
The wiggly section.
As I mentioned in Red Lobby commentary, is what me and Sarah called it.
Is that the technical term?
It's a very technical term, so to say.
So the podium's looking fairly set for the moment.
But there's still a battle for 6th going on between Druid and Nisbet. It'd be interesting to see can Nisbet use the power of that board. We both know that he's really quite quick in a straight line. If you can
Probably the worst car to come up against, though, would be the Lexus in a straight line drag race. But we'll see if the slipstream will help him.
It's I know it's difficult to say. Some tracks the slipstream seems quite powerful, and other tracks it seems that it don't really help that much. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it is a bit of a bizarre one. At high speed ring, the slipstream there is just insane.
Well, looking back at Damo, which we were mentioning, we're not quite sure he'll be able to get to the end of the race on soft tyres. He certainly seems like he's pushing it a little bit there.
Very good.
I think they're definitely seeing better days.
Yeah, he's got his money's worth out of those.
Yeah, looking through the grid. Also, I don't know if there's anything to mention for the feature race heading on to the final lap. Cypher's tyres seem to be in remarkable condition compared to the other drivers, especially his front.
Yeah, they are really good.
For example, comparing it to a Sitley in P3, it's almost like he's got double the tyre life.
And only around a second and a half off the pace of Sitley as well.
So, in a longer stint, we could see another one-stop, or possible one-stop, should I say. I think we saw in the Red Lobby, we maybe saw one or two one-stops, but
yeah, it
seems like it might be the way to go, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would. I'd definitely be trying that strategy if I was Cypher. Can Sitley make a last lap dive somewhere? It's not looking very good.
He's only really got one chance to go. He doesn't look quite close enough, but can he get a much better exit out the final corner, which he can do? It looks like it's going to be a side-by-side drag race to the start-finish line, and it looks like Sitley might have this done using the V8 power, the Japanese power, should I say, of that V8 to take second place away from Bertie at the final corner, with Phil, Sitley, and Bertie making up our podium.
Yeah, that was very unlucky for Bertie there. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself for that one.
Yeah, he drove such a fantastic race, doing everything right to defend just to lose it at the final proper corner.
Yeah.
And as we look at the rest of the grid, we have, as I say, Giles in 4th, Gary in 5th, Druid 6th, Nisbet in 7th. He couldn't quite make that move in the end on Druid. We have Smurf in 8th, Cypher in 9th, Sparky in 10th, with Damo, Simon and Merv rounding out the grid.
Damo just about managing to get his softs to the end as well.
Yeah, just looking at them, there's certainly not much left on them. I think if you look carefully, you can probably see the cord sticking through them.
Yeah, I was going to say that's an easy 3 points there if it was to get stopped.
Yeah, it looks like Mervin's our last driver to cross the line in last but certainly not least, as he gives a little handbrake turn over the line.
Right, so we're on to the sprint race starting grid for the red lobby here for round 2 at Dragon Trail, and Midnight is going to run through the first half of the grid. So over to you, Midnight.
Thank you very much. So on pole we have Mercedes X50, and he's going to be relishing being out in P1. That he's going to try and build a gap and disappear early on, but starting just behind on that rolling grid, we're going to have Sophia in that AMG, and she is never one to let a opportunity of a win pass her by, so watch out in your mirrors there, Mercedes. In P3 we have Charlie, returning from what he will describe as a disappointing event at Barcelona, eager to pick up on some more points and some more silverware. Then we have in P4 Iceman, up from the blue lobby from the previous race, and he is definitely going to be looking to impress in that Genesis. Then we have Coach in P5 in that Supra, always rapid, always looking to go unique on the strategy as well. So good luck to him, the head of Fusutu Racing, living up to his livery and living life loud. Then we have in P6, one of the fastest drivers I think we have in the championship, Fodder. So what can I say, in that 911 he makes it work around tracks. You just don't think it will, but crucially he's going to have to thread the iron needle through that chicane and see what big points he can get today here at Dragon Trail Reverse.
And in P7 we then have Midnight ISO in that McLaren, looking to have a good result around here and stay out of the Death Chicken's way. But in P8 we then have Sophie in the Audi R8. In P9 we then have Nigel back in the red lobby and looking to cause some chaos in that Ferrari, which obviously is very good off the line, so let's hope that Nigel has a good getaway. In P10 we then have Koulios in the McLaren, and in P11 we then have Pedro in that Lamborghini, and obviously Lamborghini might be a tough car to drive around here, but I'm sure Pedro will be able to drive the socks off of it. But in P12 and rounding off the grid we then have Cady the Kai looking to make his way through the pack, and let's see how long it takes him.
Well, with that in mind, so I think you're going to have to say there's a couple of drivers there you're going to have to keep an eye out for. Always keep an eye out for Kai, because you just never know when he's going to show up, particularly towards the end of the race. But looking at it, I'm going to be almost putting my money on Sophia. So those top three are going to have a significant advantage over the drivers behind, getting that clear bit of road. But Sophia, Charlie and Mercedes all have a really good opportunity here for a sprint win. Anyone that you're going to be keeping an eye on particularly?
Good question. I think can't write off Iceman, kind of starting in that P4 position. I think he could maybe, potentially maybe get a podium here. But apart from that, I think Sophia's going to be fast around here. But also, I mean, you can't write off, like you say, Cady High. I'm sure, he'll be blisteringly fast. But I'm excited to see how, obviously, the people that were racing in the blue lobby last week get on around here, because it's a difficult track. And I think people forget how difficult Dragon Trail really is. Obviously, you've got some tight corners, some for the drivers to handle. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult one. So, if anyone can make it to the end, I'm sure they'll have a good result.
Right, so much a race of survival around here. With that in mind, let's get that red lobby sprint race underway and hand over to the commentators.
Okay, leading us away for round 2 sprint race, we have Mercedes leading the grid off followed by Sophia and Charlie in 3rd place. And away they go. Yeah, I'm not expecting to see many battles in towards this first corner, but we could see it into the hairpin or down towards the back, well, down to the back straights, as they all lead single file into the first corner. It looks like maybe Fodder looking at the inside of Coach there, but not making the move yet, Sarah.
It looks like Coach may be potentially making a move on Iceman just before the death check-in. It's obviously the first go round through this hard chicane here. Although it looks like Coach got that move done and dusted way before the chicane. Iceman making contact with the wall that lets Fodder through and Midnight through. So Iceman already losing a couple of positions, unfortunately.
Well, we see a lunge there from Charlie, a very aggressive lunge into that left-handed as they lead on towards the back straight. He makes that move stick, but Mercedes managed to hit the cutback on him due to Charlie running quite deep there. But also what we missed during that first lap is into that fast chicane. Sophia lunging up the inside of Mercedes, and Mercedes decided he wanted to choose life and let Sophia through. And she's building quite a healthy advantage at the minute, Sarah.
Yeah, it's always good to choose life around that section, especially. But yeah, I think Sophia will be very happy that she's been able to get a clean break, obviously, start of the sprint race. Usually it kind of transcends into chaos, but for her, at the moment, it seems to be going quite well. And obviously Mercedes as well, not too far behind, but he's looking to make some ground on Coach. But it looks like Fodder is tucked up behind Charlie at the moment, trying to peek through, although Charlie getting very close to Coach out in front of him. But it looks like everyone got a clean-ish first lap.
Mercedes, Sarah. Mercedes is run wide onto the grass on the exit of the final proper corner, which is going to put him under threat from both Coach and Charlie running into the first corner. His Coach looks to go up the inside of Mercedes, but it looks like that GTR is starting to out-drag the Supra slightly. And maybe a little touch there from Charlie to Coach as Fodder looks up the inside into the first corner on Charlie. But unfortunately, Charlie using that wide line to get a better run down towards the chicane. But now Midnight also looks to the inside of Fodder, but thinks much better of it and getting lifts. Again, everybody choosing life for the moment, Sarah.
Feet taking a massive cut going into the chicane, and Pedro looked like he made some contact with the barrier as well, which lets Sophie through. But I was just thinking about KD the Kai. He started in 12th place and he's already got up to 9th place and is on the back of Nigel here. And it looks like he might be potentially making a run here, going side by side through Nigel through this section here, which is quite hard to overtake. You've got to kind of choose whether, choose in life or to just keep your foot on the accelerator and try and make a pass. As we still see the gaggle of cars between all the way from Coach down to Midnight going side by side here, especially Coach and Charlie. It's gonna Charlie braking a lot later than Coach there. That was very brave there, because if anything goes wrong it's straight into the sand. But yeah, I was keeping an eye on KD the Kai, already up into 8th place. Great couple of laps for him.
Yeah, using the pace like GTR to his advantage in making it look quite easy at the moment, as he's all over the back of Iceman, running onto the pit straight. And should I say, it looks like a bit of contact there between the two drivers, probably costing the Kai an attempt or a run into the first corner. As we look at his little trainer cars, who's going to make the first move? It looks like Fodder's making the first move up the inside of Coach into the first corner. Coach braking deep, but it allows Midnight to carry the momentum around the outside. But there's Fodder getting a much better and tighter line on the exit of the corner. Now a little drag race there down towards chicane, but Coach can out drag that Porsche to the chicane, Sarah.
And I was just keeping an eye on Midnight as well. I think Midnight is eager to kind of capitalise on any mistakes made by the cars in front of him. He kept it clean through the chicane, although it looks like he slightly outbroke himself going into this corner here, taking a much wider line than the cars in front. But KD the Kai already on the back of this group here, so what was a 3-car battle is now turned into more of a 4 or 5-car battle, as it looks like Charlie is getting ever closer to Mercedes out in front. But at the moment, Sophia's still enjoying that clean air. Just looking slightly further back, we have a little bit of a battle emerging between Nigel and Iceman here. It looks like into this section here, Nigel might be potentially eyeing up a move on Iceman before the braking zone, although he pulls out, but nothing gained there, unfortunately, at the moment.
It seems like everybody is still running a bit of single file at the moment. Interesting to know earlier on this lap, going through that death chicane, Sophia did pick up damage, something I noticed earlier on in the lap, which has caused her gap to Mercedes to reduce ever so slightly, but she's not under any threat at the moment. And it looks like Coach is going to have to defend from Fodder heading down the pit straight. Who is going to make the first move? It looks like Coach is taking a very defensive line in towards the first corner. We've seen the outside line. It does work around this corner, using the camber of the circuit to get a much better exit. And it looks like Coach is getting all kinds of squirrely on the exit there. A little bit of contact there between the two drivers, Sarah, as they're not quite side by side down towards chicane. It looks like Coach should still have what it takes to defend for the moment.
Yeah, well, oh, you say that, Coach just hitting the wall head on, maybe catching the drivers out by surprise, but unfortunate for Coach there. It looked like that was a battle that was going to endure the rest of the race, but unfortunately the deaf chicken has claimed another victim, unfortunately, which has allowed the everyone from P8 downwards to go past. So very, very, very unfortunate for Coach. Let's hope that he can, repair that damage and get back into the fight. Obviously, we've still got about 6 or 7 laps to go.
This spotter taking a lot of curve through that little snake in S section, which has really compromised his line all the way through it. As you see Katie Kai looking to go around the outside into this left-hander. Not quite being able to outbrake Fodder, but possibly looking for the cutback, which he can't quite make work for the moment, but I'm sure Fodder is going to be under an increasing amount of pressure down this pit straight, Sarah.
Yeah, obviously Katie Lekai eager to get into the slipstream of that Porsche, and if he can capitalise it before turn 1, then that will be good for Katie Lekai and obviously his championship result. But yeah, it looks like slightly further back as well. Obviously Midnight keeping an eye on what the two drivers in front are doing, but someone that's having a bit of a quiet race at the moment is Pedro. He seems to have made small mistakes here and there, but he's slowly climbing the positions, and as well as Koulios potentially going side by side with Weissman here.
We've got Fodder and Katie Kai going side by side as well, further up front. There's battle for 4th position. They're going side by side into the chicane. Who is going to blink first? Kai isn't blinking, Fodder isn't blinking. Not the fastest line through the chicane, but Kai comes out on top. Fortunately, neither driver picking up damage from what is a little bit archy-bargy there. So
I don't think Fodder's going to be very happy about that from Katie Lekai. But yeah, obviously a very aggressive move from Katie Lekai there, trying to get that position off of Fodder. Obviously Fodder's not too far behind, and obviously we've still got quite a few laps to go, so that fight is not over just yet. And yeah, like you say, not the most ideal line to go through that section there.
It looks like Pedro is also mounting more of an attack on Nigel. It looked like he tried to go for a little lunge into that tight right-hander as we reached the back straight, but he couldn't quite pull it off. Again, he tried to go around the outside into the S's, but again, it's not really a place you overtake. There's more of a single line sequence at corners.
No, I agree there, and obviously Koulios as well making a move on Iceman. Iceman going a little bit wide and doing some grass cutting. Obviously taking place, Ziggy not racing today, so Iceman taking gardening duties there. But unfortunate, Iceman does lose that position to Koulios, who again, Koulios looks like he's having a little bit more of a difficult race. I'm not sure if he's a huge fan of Seaside and the Jeff Chicken as we call it. But Pedro pulls out to the inside line, looking for a move on Nigel, going on to lap number 6. He brakes a lot later, caps off that inside line, but he leaves a gap. Nigel looks like he's going to try and fill that gap, but he spins it round, and unfortunately Nigel losing the back end of that Ferrari.
Yeah, just a bit too eager on the throttle with a bit too much steering input, which caused that Ferrari to loop around and unfortunately pick up a little bit of front end damage. But I'm sure Nigel's going to get his head down and get back into it. There's still plenty of laps in this race, and there's still plenty to gain from it.
Obviously, as I always say, the sprint race is kind of where the drivers are, building up their practice. Obviously, the sprint race, it definitely helps for tyre choices going into the feature race. As we see Sophie taking a very interesting line coming out of that Deaf Chicken section. I need to stop calling it the Deaf Chicken, but I'm just so used to calling it. It almost rolls off the tongue. But Coach as well, obviously, he's trying to climb back a few positions after that small mistake that he did earlier. But that has brought Iceman back into the fight a little bit here. He's back on behind Sophie in that R8 and it looks like everyone else is starting to eke out a gap next to their competitors. So we're getting to that part of the sprint race where it all will start to space out a little bit, and I guess it's calmed down. But I don't know about you, Kirk. For those first 6 laps, it looked like it was action everywhere on track.
Yeah, it certainly did. You know, we've had our fair share of moments. The people getting their elbows out, defending aggressively, attacking aggressively, and you know, sometimes people just thinking better of it and lifting off, especially into that chicane, or the death chicken, as you call it.
I think obviously when this track is one of the most kind of rewarding consistency wise, if a driver can just be consistent, obviously push where they need to push, but also be kind of a little bit more kind of reserved, especially through this first section here, then it really does reward drivers for being consistent. And unfortunately, we've just been told that Sophia has just had a little bit of a crash, which has brought her a lot closer to Mercedes and Charlie. So potentially we could see a change for the lead here, Kirk.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a few times this race Sophia going a little bit too aggressive through that chicane. She goes wide again and hits the wall. Oh, well, no, what's happened? That's cost them both first and second place, promoting Mercedes and Charlie up respectively. We've got plenty of laps in the left in this race, and it might just be what's needed to spice up the finish this race, Sarah.
I don't think obviously Sophia will agree with that, but a rare mistake from Sophia there has unfortunately lost her the potential win of the race. But obviously I think, you know, after a mistake like that, P3 is still not too bad, but that damage to the front end and suspension will be losing her a bit of time. And I can see Katie Dekai in the distance, eager to try and maybe take that third place off, as we see Charlie potentially going for a move on Mercedes here, going to that inside line, braking, forcing each other. So what are you going to say there, Kirk?
I'm saying it seems the first corner is a corner that can make either line work. You can use the high line to get a much better exit off the corner, or brake late and deep and almost V off the apex of the corner to prevent the other driver from getting a good exit. But to miss Charlie make that inside line works. The previous lap, he goes wide ever so slightly, which should give Mercedes a bit of a better run on to this back straight, Sarah, back technical section. I'm not sure quite what to call it.
The squiggly line. Let's just call it the squiggly line. But yeah, I think Mercedes trying to get a little bit of a better run compared to Charlie here, trying to maybe potentially take that win off of Charlie in the BMW. But I was surprised. I don't think the BMW. I didn't think it was going to be a great car around here, but Charlie proving me wrong yet again. He seems to be getting used to the BMW, shall I say. I think the first round, especially, obviously, new car for Charlie this season. It's a difficult car. I can appreciate that. I drove it last season, so obviously we're still in that time where drivers are getting used to their new cars, and Charlie seems to have found the car that
made a
fits
move
for
on
him.
Mercedes somewhere, so I'm not sure quite sure where she made a move, but she's up second, hunting down Charlie. Unfortunately, we must have missed it, Sarah.
Unfortunately, these things happen, but I think maybe potentially a mistake from Mercedes there has allowed Sophia back through, and she looks like she's already on the charge to try and take that first position back off of Charlie. She wants what she wants, and she wants what was rightfully hers before that mistake that she made. But looking slightly further back, we've got the two GTRs getting closer and closer with Mercedes and Katie Dekai. Katie Dekai, you've got to remember, he started in 12th place, obviously right at the back of the grid. So he's done a remarkable job to get up to P4 within 9 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you compare his lap times to the drivers in front of him, he's consistently running about half a second a lap quicker. So I wouldn't put it past him to possibly be third, maybe even second by the end of this race, Sarah.
I mean, Katie Dekai, we know what he's capable of. Obviously, he's a champion, and sometimes he will pull out those champion drives, and it looks like today might be one of those champion drives that we know him well for. But it looks like Sophia is getting closer and closer to Charlie. Obviously, Charlie's got 2 laps that he needs to hold her off for but will he be able to do it in that BMW? He'll try and make it the widest BMW you've ever seen, I'm sure, but let's see who comes out on that top step. Looking slightly further behind, it looks like it's a bit more of a quieter race for Midnight here, currently sat in P6. Got obviously involved in the action right at the start, but I think, you know, you've got to be happy with a P6. It seems like it's been a little bit of a chaotic race, especially around here. Drivers finding their feet, especially with that tough chicane that we've got in the first section.
Yeah, it just seems like one of those races where a sprint race, he just hasn't really had the pace to be able to keep up with the drivers in front of him. Took advantage of early race shenanigans and made a few positions up, but yeah, it just seems he doesn't quite have the pace at this phase of the race to be able to keep up with the driver in front of him. As we look back towards the front, Sophia is still all over the back of Charlie. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if she does. I wouldn't put her past her. You know, maybe going for a little bit of an ambitious dive on the final lap, Sarah.
I think you've called it right there. I think she'll definitely try. Will she succeed? That's a whole nother story. But I think obviously a lot of the drivers here, sometimes you've got to attempt those kind of daring moves that are, you know, maybe crossing the line slightly. But I think Sophia will try at least. But although she looks like she lost a little bit of time to Charlie there, so obviously in an attempt to keep it on track, she's slowed down. And that has brought a bit of a bigger gap between herself and Charlie here. Just probably what Charlie was asking for, because I mean, when you're under pressure, especially from the Mercedes of Sophia, it's quite a lot of pressure to deal with, especially in the closing round, the closing laps of this race, Kirk.
And Sophia is such an aggressive driver. You know, you really cannot. If she has a whip of that inside line, she will 100% go for it. So it's quite an intimidating driver to have behind you. I know from experience, and I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, it's the best way to be. Obviously, sometimes when you see a gap, you have to go for it, and Sophia will definitely go for that gap if she sees one. So Charlie, if I have any advice, don't make a gap. But we're going on to the final lap now. 11 laps completed around Dragon Trail. Oh, and it looks like Sophia, she made contact with the barrier on the final lap. So that might have ruined her chances of taking that first place back, Kirk.
Yeah, I think Charlie might have this in the bag now, unless the worst was to happen, which we hope does not happen. But Sophia could also now find herself. Yeah, she could also find herself under pressure now from Mercedes heading down this back squiggly section, as you referred to earlier in the race.
Technical, Kirk.
Yeah, it certainly isn't a position where Sophia would like to find herself in.
No, especially obviously when you've got the two GTRs right behind. She goes off the track again into this final section here, and Mercedes looks like he's going to take the outside line. Sophia on the inside line. Who's going to be braver around here? It looks like Sophia just capped off Mercedes there. Mercedes is still on the charge to take that second place away, and who's lurking just behind is Katie the Kai. Who out of the GTRs is going to get past Sophia, if anybody? Sophia trying to... Oh, Katie the Kai making a very sneaky move.
What is it? Yeah, what is it? Wide goes Mercedes, through goes Kai. Kai's still in the final podium position on the final lap of the race, Sarah.
I hope someone gets that reference, because yeah, obviously we missed Charlie coming across the line. Sophia in P2, Katie the Kai with a very sneaky move into P3. Mercedes, after a very valiant effort, into P4. Fodder with a P5 finish. Midnight with a P6, and Kirk, do you want to take the rest?
Yeah, Pedro, maybe a little bit. It started off well, but a bit tapered off in the midpoint of the race, finishing still a respectful 7th. Koulios, again, a decent recovery driver. I saw on the opening lap he was down, something happened, he was down in last, but he managed to recover from 8th, to 8th. We have Sophia in 9th. Nigel, after picking up the heavy damage, finished 10th. Iceman in 11th, and Coach, who isn't quite yet to finish, but I'm sure he'll be giving it his best shot. Coming out the final corner now, and we'll come over to finish line in a P12. You know, maybe not his greatest race, but I'm sure he'll be more than eager to do well in the feature race.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Unfortunately, I think obviously coach not able to recover from that incident in the chicane, but it's all practice at the end of the day. He now knows not what to what not to do in the feature race, so I'm sure he'll be staying well clear of those barriers and walls. But yeah, unfortunate for coach. But I think obviously this track is one of probably the most difficult tracks that we've got on the calendar. It's quite a difficult track to get 100% right all of the time. It requires a lot of concentration, so I'm eager to get into that feature race and see how everyone does.
Yeah, absolutely. See all the thrills and spills that it has to offer.
Yeah, especially through the squiggly section, as we call it, because we don't like technical terms here.
Absolutely not, fair. Absolutely not.
And that is the sprint race done. And with that in mind, we move on to the feature race and the qualifying session supporting it. With that in mind, Sarah, can you take us through the top drivers from qualifying, please?
Yeah, and to be honest, quite astonished by the time that Giles has set here on the soft tyres. He set a 1:39.4. What a time set by Giles there, especially around Dragon Trail. Obviously, we know how difficult it is, and to be fast around here does definitely take some guts, so well done to Giles for getting that pole position. But in P2 we then have T50 Gary also setting the time on the softs with a 1:41.2, and joining him is his other T50 pal in Phil with a 1:41.6 but setting the times on the mediums. And in P4 we have Sitterly setting his time on the mediums as well with a 1:41.7, so very close to Phil's time indeed. And in P5 we then have our very own big crazy Bertie setting his time on the mediums with a 1:42.1. In P6 we have Sparky setting his time on the mediums as well, but setting a time of a 1:42.5. And in P7 we have Dijon Cypher setting his time on the soft tyres, so looking for a quick getaway as well, with a time of a 1:42.5, and nearly very close to beating Sparky's time. But handing over to you, Midnight, if you could run through the rest of the grid for me.
Of course. And then we have in P8 we have the Welsh Smurf himself on medium tyres on a 42.9, followed by Druid on a 43 flat, so very close between those two. Expect to see a battle throughout the race, especially combined with Damo in P10 almost at the same time, only 300ths behind Druid. And then we have Joe Nisbet as well, another 2 or 300ths behind Damo, so that group of drivers very, very close, all on medium tyres. Then we have our very own Super Simon on medium tyres on a 46.4. And in P13 we have Sturdy on a 1:47.7, again showing good progression, and it looks like he is picking up pace and speed and consistency. And then we have in P14 Murph in that Supra on a 1:52.9. I can only feel that is not a representative lap. Maybe he suffered from a little bit of traffic, or maybe that Death Chicken, as it has been so accurately put, has bitten him in this Dragon Trail course in the reverse layout. But that in mind, Sarah, I think we have to bring attention to that absolutely rapid pole position lap from Giles, picking up those 3 points and 1.8 clear of the top. That is a stunning lap, Sarah.
So yeah, that's definitely a blistering lap time by Giles there. Obviously I'd love to, I'm going to watch it back numerous times, going to try and get some tips and tricks out of that lap time, because like you say, obviously being more than a second clear of his competitor in Gary, he must have done something right and he must have been free of traffic.
Yeah, you can only surmise that he has done very well though, just hooked up the lap completely. But otherwise there's a couple of drivers in there to watch there, particularly I feel the lead medium runners of T50 Phil and Sitterly, and don't count out Big Crazy Bertie as well. Those three drivers I think are going to be, after about 5 or 6 laps, starting to look at the back of the soft runners, unless Giles can really open the taps and just get out there so he can build a gap for taking his first pit stop. But we have to say, otherwise, yeah, the rest of the grid looks like there's going to be some battles all the way around, and it looks like it's going to be an exciting one. with that in mind, Sarah, I think it's time to hand over to those commentators and let's enjoy the race.
Okay, so leading the way for the round 2 feature race, we have both Giles and Gary on the soft tyre, everybody else bar Cypher on the mediums. It looks like a very good start there from Phil as he jumps both drivers and he's leading. Got quite a comfortable lead, shall I say, before we even reach turn 1. And Giles possibly looks like maybe lunging it, but he can't quite make it work. As we look further down to the pack, it looks like Sitley getting very sideways. He's just about holding the car on the exit of the first corner, and he's getting tucked up right behind that GTR. And also looking further down, it looks like everybody's kind of sorted themselves out for the minute. Hopefully no one's going side by side into this depth chicane. And it looks like possibly damage there for Sitley. Sitley unfortunately picking up damage straight away on the first lap, which is not a very optimum start to his race. But otherwise it looks like everybody else is got through cleanly. But
yeah, just see D-Gen doing a dive and making 2 places up there.
A very aggressive move there, which is what he needs to be on that soft tyre. Use that pace advantage early on as they're going 3 wide down the back straight. They probably want to sort themselves out before we reach this section.
Yeah, this is not a section I'd want to go more than 1 wide through.
Yeah, it is all really only a single line section. But it looks like a Druid making that ambitious dive work, being able to able to overtake Smurf. And it looks like Sitley is dropping like a bit of a rock at the minute with that damage as he loses the place to Smurf and Damo. Unfortunately going from P3 I believe down to P9 by the end of the first lap. Not a great start from him, unfortunately.
No, so we see...
Oh, his wheel's gone round on the exit of the final corner. Oh, after such a fantastic start, that is not how he wanted to end his first lap. It just looked like he got a little bit too aggressive on the exit curb at the final corner, and unfortunately looped the Ferrari around, picking up front end damage
as well. Yeah.
However, he's got to say,
Sitley made another mistake, or is it just purely from damage that he's dropped even further?
Yeah, it looks like he's struggling quite a bit at the minute. Well, I expect both Sitley and Phil to start to struggle a bit with that damage.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll change their strategy and come in early.
We did see it in the red lobby. Do go check it out. People picking up damage early on and changing strategy, trying to go onto a set of hard tyres and doing a long stint on the hard tyres. But surely you got to say now it's got to be an advantage Giles and Gary with those soft tyres to be able to try and break away and try and build a gap up, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, they've got to try and break away from Sparky now, sort of make it worthwhile choosing those softs.
It also looks like, unfortunately, D-Gen or Cypher, as we know him, is picking up a bit of front end damage as well. It looks like Welch Smurf has gone off a bit, and the S is fortunately held it, but I believe he has picked up damage as well this lap, probably from that chicane. It looks like almost half the grid's been in the wars this race.
Yeah, that chicane catches the best of you out as well. It's not an easy thing to conquer.
Yeah, absolutely not, because you got to be so committed through there, but commit too much or take too much speed in there, you'll be certainly
the end
paying
of your race.
Price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Giles going. Yeah, he's building a nice gap up to Gary, it seems.
Yeah.
And they do seem to be breaking away from Sparky as well, as he's under pressure from Chaos.
Yeah, well, looking at the lap time, Giles was about 7/10 quicker than Gary. Gary being another 1.2 seconds quicker than Sparky. It seems like they're certainly flying at the moment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much they burn those softs up. So Damo will take them just about 10 laps in the sprint, so it'll be interesting to see how far they get and who's going to pull the trigger first and try and undercut.
Absolutely. You know, the strategy can, it may be, believe it or not, but a strategy can make or break your race.
So I've learned many times, and I absolutely hate strategy as well. It's the bane of my life.
Yes, got to know how to plan it to be able to run a quick race.
Yep. We see Phil's trying to make his way back up the grid as well. He's currently applying some pressure to Degen.
Looks like Sparky getting all sorts of out of shape on the exit of that little left-hander as they start the final sector, allowing
that's gonna
Bertie to
leave
close
him-
up.
Yeah, that's going to leave him a sitting duck on that
Very,
back straight.
Very vulnerable. Well, go head onto the pitch right now. He's going to be pretty vulnerable to the Lexus driver of Druid, and possibly in a lap or so time to Bertie as well, as Bertie is within that 1 second zone, so we'll be getting towed along ever so slightly by that slipstream.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Who else is making any gains?
It looks like Cypher may be coming under a bit of pressure as well from Phil, as Phil looks to try and carry that momentum around the outside turn one, cuts back to get a much better exit, and running side by side down towards that the depth chicane.
Oh my god.
Turn 2, but it looks like that Ferrari
He's made it stick.
has cleared the Lamborghini. Cypher thinking better of it, living to fight another day, so to speak.
As it
Looks like
touches the wall, Phil has a bit of a brush with wall.
a little brush with danger, so to speak. But fortunately holding that position for now. As it looks like we've missed out on a battle for third. Well, looking at that a little while there, as Bertie is now up into third place. It looks like Sparky possibly picking up damage at that chicane, and that front of the Mclaren seems quite battered.
Yeah. We missed out what happened there. I suspect it would be the chicane though.
Yeah, and I'm sure Sparky's got to be dealing with some pretty nasty understeer, looking at how badly damaged that front end is.
Yep. It looks like Giles is running away with it at the moment. He's building quite a big gap up now to Gary. Gary also breaking away quite a bit to Bertie as well. See if Bertie, now that he's in some clear air, see if he can try and chase the leaders down.
Well, Giles setting another another personal best fastest lap on that previous lap, setting a 40.3. For reference, Gary set a 43.2. So in one lap, Giles has pulled 3 seconds on Gary, which is some stonking pace, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, and his tyres are much better than Gary's as well.
I'm not sure what pace you were setting on the softs in the red lobby, but it's certainly up there.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's the fastest time so far in the blue lobby, including the sprint.
Yeah, it looks like we're starting to settle down there. Sparky maybe running a tad bit wide into that left-hander, but using that momentum, the extra speed he can carry to get a better run onto the back straight. But I think with that front-end damage, he is probably lacking a little bit too much straight line speed to be able to properly challenge Druid, and especially with the understeer in the dirty air and damage.
Yeah, but still doing quite a good job to stay with him.
Looking down towards the back of the pack, it seems like possibly Merv may have pitted on the previous lap. It looks like a 2-minute lap time probably suggests he did pit, and he's coming at the back of the pack. But there's a long time to go yet. We've still got 28 laps, pretty much. Well, not 28 laps. What am I on about? I'm being stupid. 32 laps to go.
32, yeah. Some quick maths there. See, Degen's coming under a bit of pressure from Citily as well.
Yeah, both drivers carrying a bit of damage, but that V8 of that Lexus seems to be, and the slipstream, be able to pull him
also goes past Damo down the back straight. Gonna have a fight for it back. Can he make it stick on the inside?
Not quite. Looks like
No.
Nisbet gets a better traction and run it off the first corner, and the Citily making the move on Cypher work promoting himself up into P7. Oh, it's possibly both drivers scraping the wall a bit there.
Yep, both currently with damage as well. 2 drivers behind them not with damage as well, so it'll be interesting to see if they can catch up and make a move for those positions as well.
It also looks like Sparky may have made a slight mistake on that previous left-hander on towards going on the back straight as he has lost the position to Phil, and Phil up to P5. It looks like more drivers have got damaged than haven't got damage at this point, as
It does.
as Merv is pitting again this lap. Looks like he picked up some catastrophic engine damage there.
Wow, yeah.
His engine flashing.
Yeah, we missed that
It takes a mighty big whack to pick up engine damage, doesn't it?
It does. I don't think I've ever experienced that before, so it must be quite a big impact. Be interesting to see if it goes hard 0 or stays with the mediums.
Also, for the position for P9 has changed as well. Nisbet overtaking Damo. Looks like Damo got a little bit squirrely as he entered the third sector, that little left-hander, sharp left-hander in the third sector. Getting a little bit squirrely and losing the position to Nisbet. But although he gets a much better run out of the final corner, took him right up behind that Ford. It's that Porsche got enough pull in it to be able to pull alongside that Ford. Not quite.
Looking from experience, it does not.
But he's going to tuck up right in behind that slipstream of that Ford. He's going to lunge it into turn 1. He does. He outbreaks the Ford. Nisbet holding it around the outside, trying to use the momentum and the better traction, and he does power around the outside of the Porsche.
Yeah, I do think the outside line is the better line into turn 1.
Yeah, we're looking up to the front with Giles and Gary. It's a pretty quiet race for both of them at the minute, although Gary coming under a little bit more pressure from, I say pressure, but it's actually a lap traffic of Merv on the hard tyres.
Yeah. Gary's softs looking pretty sorry for themselves now.
Not quite as bad as we saw Damo in the sprint race.
No, how he managed to finish that race on those is beyond me.
Yeah, but it looks like Giles is still showing very good pace out front, consistently lapping quicker than the whole field pretty much.
Yeah, and he's managed to keep his tyres in good stead as well. Lamborghini a little bit heavier on the rears round here as well.
I tend to find with any car that's a rear or mid-engine that the rears do tend to wear out quite quickly.
See, in the Porsche, I usually suffer from the fronts rather than rears. I don't know if that's my driving style or not, though. But, I do like it a bit more understeery.
Me too. I find with anything that oversteers, especially with something like the Lamborghini, I find it really difficult to find confidence and attack. As we saw in the red lobby with an unfortunate Lamborghini user.
Yeah, we see DJen coming in for a fresh set of boots. What tyre will he go on to?
Surely, I'd probably at this point maybe mediums or hards. I
won't put him past him to go on hards and try and go long on the middle stint. Well, not even the middle stint, it's quite early still. It's gone mediums.
Oh, and he's picked up a penalty, pit lane infringement penalty as well.
Oh, it's the worst penalty.
It's one of those penalties that you kind of kick yourself for.
Yeah. I've nearly rage quit because of that before. It's so infuriating.
Looks like we have a little battle for P8 going on between Nisbet and Damo. It seems like these two can't get away from each other at the minute.
Yeah.
It looks like Damo went a little bit deep into that right-hander, which allows Nisbet to cut back, gives him the better
run. He got lucky touching that curve as well.
Yeah, any curb around he can really spit the cars off unpredictably.
Yeah. See Giles in maybe a little bit earlier than what he could have been.
Yeah, possibly. I think we saw in the red lobby a few drivers went to about lap 9 and 10, which probably would be the better option. Starting on the soft tyres, would probably be taking them until you couldn't take them any further.
Yeah. That of course releases Gary. If he's got anything left in them tyres, he needs to use every little bit.
Fortunately enough, he doesn't have damage, so he has full downforce and the least amount of drag.
Yep.
As he gets a millimetre closer to the wall, we actually came. I almost opened my mouth too soon. Yeah, it also promotes some of the medium runners up. As it looks like, Merv is blocking Italy through that chicane, unfortunately. although he managed to get through without any contact. As it looks like maybe gets out of the way. Is quite an aggressive lunge there from Giles, not taking any prisoners, I see.
No. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
certainly caught Murph at a pretty bad part of the track to be catching traffic at as well. It's pretty hard to get out of the way at the chicane as well.
Yeah, it's all just single line section. If I look at the pack, P5 to P10 all seem to be in that similar section. You know, just going through that S section. So
Yep.
there's still quite a few battles going on, possibly, as we see Merv just pulling to the side, letting the pack through, and it's going quite well. It looks like Nisbet has finally been able to clear Damo as he goes quite wide there in the third sector. Oh, the end start, that little left-hander at the start of the third sector, going a little bit wide, cost himself a little bit of time, but managed to recover without spinning or anything like that. As we see Gary pitting from the lead as well, it'd be interesting to see where he comes out compared to Giles. Obviously, we know Giles had quite an advantage before they pitted. It'd be interesting to see, does he take less fuel to try and undercut him? As we see Giles, maybe not. Giles has cleared the pit lane, so he's comfortably out in front.
Yeah.
And it looks like Gary's probably taking a full tank of fuel as well.
Yeah, they've definitely tried something a little bit different to try and close that gap a little bit up to Giles.
It looks like we have a battle for second place going on between Druid and Phil. Phil trying to get that cutback line onto the back straight. He gets a much better exit as he goes very wide. All four wheels over the white line.
Very brave.
Very elbows out stuff here. This battle for P2. You know, you never know how this could end by the end of the race. This could be a crucial overtake for position. Although Phil with that damage has a little bit less top end than Druid.
Yeah, and we'll probably see him struggle through these S's as well with that damage. Doing well though to stay with the Lexus.
Yeah, he is. Even with the damage, he's not letting it affect his race pace too badly. He seems to be matching the drivers around him for pace, bar Giles and Gary, who are both started on the soft tyres and are pitted for fresh mediums now.
Yeah, basically everyone on the medium tyre now.
Yeah, apart from who's on the hard tyres.
Almost onto hards now.
Yeah, early on after he picked all that, well, the catastrophic engine damage, he decided to go long and run on the hard tyre.
Yeah, it makes sense really. Try and go as long as you can now. As we nearly has another moment.
We have Nisbet box. Well, we have three drivers boxing quite early. Smurf, Damo, and Nisbet all coming off the medium tyre with plenty of life on them all.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, a little bit of an alternate strategy, possibly.
Yeah, let's see what tyre they go to.
Phil and Charles are still battling for second places. Phil gets all sorts of squirrely on the exit and run to the back straight. It probably isn't the most optimum way to start this back straight.
No, not at all. Unless there's points for drifting, which unfortunately there isn't. Well.
Yeah. Maybe some nice style points, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, at this point in time, who do you think has the advantage? Would you say track position of Bertie, Druid or Phil, or would you say fresh tyres of Giles and Gary?
If Bertie can get his head down and try and get some good times in, which looking at the timing board is quite a bit off the pace of Giles. If he could get his head down in clean air and maybe try and extend those tyres as much as he could, might give him a little bit of advantage, but I think Giles has got that much of an advantage now over everybody that he's I don't think it matters what they do in front. I think he's net leader still.
Quite big, and probably still growing as he looks like he sets another blistering time on the medium tyre, 41.7, which is again multiple seconds a lap faster than the free.
Yeah, almost 3 seconds faster than Bertie.
Yeah, I saw in your race in Red Lobby, you should go watch it by the way, and that you did take a bit of an alternate strategy compared to most other drivers.
Do you know, I'd be lying if I said I could remember what I did. Can't actually remember what I did. I think I started on mediums, I think. Oh yeah, I went mediums then softs. Yeah, I went medium then soft then medium again. Which seemed to play to me a little bit. I think I caught the leaders up a little bit by doing that, but ultimately I was still stuck in no man's land with nobody around me.
Well, I say sometimes an alternate strategy which gives you clean air is the way to go, because you'd rather have clean air than battling with the drivers around you, costing yourself time and getting into needless battles and affecting your tyres more because of the dirty air.
Yeah, and this is not a track you want to be caught in dirty air with as well.
Yeah, I imagine you lose quite a lot of time through that middle sector, through those S's from the dirty air.
Just having a quick look down the pack, see what's going on.
At the minute, FA Cup closest battle is between Phil and Druid, although I'm pretty sure Phil doesn't want to attack the damage. I'm sure. I don't know.
With him though.
I don't know if you picked up damage in your race. But
I did lap one.
I think I remember. I think it was you and Kulios got into the wars. Was it?
Maybe you'll have to go and watch it and see.
Oh, you gotta plug it. Keep plugging the red line. Oh, it still hits the wall quite hard again, picking up a slight bit as well. In the wars again, should we say, for poor old Phil?
Yeah.
It looks like Giles. Very ambitious line there from Giles. You can just look in the background.
Quite an aggressive entry to that corner.
I'm not sure if it was quite a Code Brown moment, as one midnight would say.
Yeah, I've had a few on that corner.
It certainly seemed maybe a tad suboptimal.
Yeah, it can be a difficult corner to master, that one as well. It's quite a strange shape, so it's you think you're running out of track when in reality you're not really. You've got to have a little bit of trust as to where the inside of that corner is.
I mean, I'm not one to speak. I'm not very fast around the circuit, but it seems like a corner to take a late apex and just try and carry the momentum around.
Giles is going to be looking for the move pretty quickly.
Yeah, we know Giles doesn't tend to like to sit behind anyone, let alone a limping Ferrari that is carrying maybe a little bit of damage.
Yeah, I suspect he's going to lick the stamp and send it.
Yeah, here he goes. He's running side by side with Phil, and he goes for it, and he thinks about it on Druid as well, getting very close to the back of that Lexus.
Yeah.
But that's one of the two drivers cleared, and I'm sure he's probably going to lunge it, not at the chicane, but probably that little left-hander onto the back straight.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Very good old Giles.
Bertie not too far up the road either.
Well, we know from previous season, Bertie is what we call a tyre whisperer. He has a habit of going very deep into races, saving a bit of fuel, saving a bit of tyres, and doing one less pit stop, which more often than not really does work out for him quite well.
And the Mclaren is really good on the tyres as well.
Yeah, just ask our very own Midnight. He would know. He does run the Mclaren quite a lot.
He does, and seems to get double the laps out of his tyres than me, which is just witchcraft.
A bit of voodoo Midnight magic, so to speak. Yeah, it looks like Giles has cleared both of them now on this lap, Phil and Druid. Didn't quite see the move, but he's certainly got to make the most now of that clean air. Fresh medium tyres, clean air. Can only looks up from here. I think barring any big mistake, I think even early on, Giles might just have this in the bag.
Yep, but it's not too far up the road, so it's it'll be Operation Hunt McLaren for Giles.
As we see Druid coming into the pits as well, possibly looking to get the undercut on the likes of Phil and maybe even Bertie, depending on what tyre he goes on to and how fast his outlap is, and if he comes out in clean air.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much further Phil goes, if he reacts to that or not and gets rid of that damage, or if he decides to go a little bit longer. He's certainly got the tyres to go longer.
Yeah. Well, I think possibly maybe even a set of hards could get Druid to the end of the race from this point. But it'd be interesting to see whether he goes to a set of the hard tyres or not. It looks like he's probably going to take a full tank of fuel as well.
Yep.
As Damo goes past, promoting him up into 7th place. It looks like
He's just about to make it out before Nisbet as well. He does.
Also, I've got to say, Simon's doing very well at the minute, running in P10. A very impressive race for him so well. It looks like Cypher's got quite a bit of damage as well. I'm not sure where he's picked this up from, Fodder.
Yeah, front and rear. He's done a good job of that one.
Yeah, he has. I'm not sure. Well, not quite sure where it is, but he's going to be under a lot of pressure from Welchsmith. As Welchsmith almost runs into the back of him there.
Yeah, it'll be giving him quite the scare in his mirror.
Yeah, almost giving the push around his. Oh, that's what,
penalty as well.
Not something you see very often around here. Track limits penalty.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly because if you cut any curbs, you usually send it off.
You're usually dead.
Spearing off into a barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the minute, who would you say is a maybe not favourite to win? Because I think by big mistakes, we know it's probably Giles who is taking this victory. But who is on your money to finish on the podium?
Well, that's the question. We saw Sitley go quite well in the sprint race, so it'd be interesting to see what he can do. He's just come in for some tyres now, and probably get rid of that damage as well.
We also saw early on Sparky do quite well. If he can also avoid picking up damage. Currently running in P5. Obviously, we know Giles and Gary are the two early stoppers for fresh tyres.
And we know Phil's got pace as well. He did really well in the sprint.
It's a little bit hard to say at the minute. Anyone could be on this podium.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see if the soft runners at the beginning, if that works out at the end. See where they end up.
We also can't really count out Bertie yet as well. We're obviously running up at the front at the minute, although he is being hunted down at a very fast rate, just say a considerable rate of knots by Giles.
He'll be needing to defend quite quickly and defend for his life with Giles behind.
I'm just saying, but would you defend looking at the probably alternate strategy? And if I believe what I'm seeing, I think Bertie is probably going to be doing one less stop than Giles. So, you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Don't buy it now, buy it later type deal.
Yeah.
Could see Bill
pitting quite a fight at the end.
Yeah, Bill pitting in as well, getting rid of those medium tyres, and more than likely fixing that damage as well.
Yeah, will he go soft or will he go medium, do you think?
Maybe even hards from here. So I think you could probably just about get hards away from it now. So the Giles possibly looking up the inside there on Bertie. Bertie, just doing enough at the minute to defend, but surely going down this back straight, there's not really much Bertie can do about this. He takes the inside line, but although Giles on the outside for the moment, it does switch to the inside line further around.
Yep. It's not really a place you can look for an overtake either, so he's going to have to sit behind a little bit longer.
I'm sure if Giles plays everything smart, he should be just about alright this race.
Yeah. So Phil went to softs during his bit and only went half a tank of fuel.
Certainly quite an interesting choice. What'd you say? Say about 7-8 laps on the soft tyres.
Yeah, we saw Damo go to 10, 11. Probably not optimal going to his 11th lap, but we'll see how many laps Phil can get those softs round.
But now we've got a little battle for the lead is now heating up as we've got the Lamborghini of Giles tucked up behind that McLaren. That McLaren seems to be quite quick in the straight line. He's only really catching the back half of the straight. Giles sends it up the inside. Bertie holding it around the outside, but can't quite make it stick. Giles using that fresh tyre, or fresh and much nicer tyres to take that position away from Bertie. If I'm Bertie, I'd be more than happy to lead a few laps this race.
Yeah. I think we'll be seeing him stop pretty soon, looking at his fuel level as
Giles
well.
picking up damage at the chicane there, unfortunately. Maybe it's just about typical, isn't it? You get the lead and then it's a simple, easily done mistake and picked up damage.
Very easily done.
Yeah, look at maybe this gives the advantage to Gary now, because in the next pit stop, keep in mind that Gary keeps a clean race and doesn't pick up any damage. Gary isn't going to have to wait for 3 or so seconds while the crew repair the damage.
Yep. Yeah, I'm certainly intrigued to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, but at the minute it's kind of all settled down for a minute now until we start seeing people make some more pit stops and get their pit strategy all sorted.
As you say, that Welsh comes in for his stop.
Yeah, again, it'd be interesting to see now, because I'm not quite 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you can probably do about 20 laps of fuel, or 20 laps with fuel and the hard tyres, so we could start to see people making their final pit stops now.
Yeah,
you also
see Bertie coming in as well.
In second place, yeah. Was the one stop ever really an option for you around here?
The pace on the hards wasn't really an option for me in that Porsche. So yeah, I think I played with the idea, but it's not something that I think with the pace of the Red Lobby guys, it's not something I could do.
I see. Even with the time you saved from the pit stop, it still wasn't enough.
No.
And then by the time
Well, it might have been. I didn't do it, so I don't know. Maybe it's one of those unknowns. We'll never know. Maybe a win was on the cards if I did a one stop.
Well, hindsight is always 20/20, isn't it? It's like Damo is as well. Getting rid of his soft tyres. You're only doing about 8 or so laps on it. It was like pit at the end of lap 10. Is now in lap 17, well 18, shall I say, as he boxes.
Yep.
So we're not seeing these soft tyres last all that long. It's interestingly enough, Bertie comes out on the soft tyres.
Yeah.
We'd say a conservative lap 28, possibly doing double softs to the end.
Quite possibly, depending on how this stint goes for him on those softs. But as we said before, he's the tyre whisperer, and the McLaren's very good on tyres as well.
But out front, it seems like Giles has got quite a commanding lead at the minute. What's that looking at? Probably 20 seconds, 15, 20 seconds?
Yeah, impressive is what it is.
Well, it always got to be, pulling out almost a second a lap on the person in second place. So we've got somebody round at the final corner, which I believe is Merv. Oh, no, it's not. It's Simon. Unfortunately, Simon spearing off at the final corner. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but it was like he probably hit the curb quite hard, and which unsettled the car and sent him around into the gravel trap. Fortunately enough, he didn't pick up damage from that incident, which is not something you can say quite often.
Not around this track. I'd be definitely thankful for no damage if I had a moment into the trap.
Yeah, looking at the race, everybody's really settled it into their own little rhythm now. Maybe the odd mistake here and there. Obviously, we saw from Giles picking up that little bit of damage once he cleared Bertie.
Yeah,
but also
Gary's also got he's got damage.
Not quite sure where he picked that up from. But yeah, just about over halfway now. I think it looks like Bertie is hunting down Phil. With neither driver having damage, although Phil's got a lot less fuel with Bertie with the fresher tyres.
Yeah. See if he can catch up to that Ferrari. We know Phil's got quite a bit of pace in that car as well.
We certainly do. That previous lap only really being about half a second or so off the fastest lap of the race, which is impressive going.
Yeah, he's
So,
currently lapping like 3 seconds faster than Giles, so
well, we know Giles on the harder compound tyre.
yeah.
Well, he's on a harder, older, and he's got damage.
And he's got damage, yeah. Luckily he's got the buffer off the lead.
All bad things come in freezer, so they say.
Yeah, they come in like 10s with me.
Good to you. It seems to be a pretty good race so far, wouldn't you agree?
It does. It seems less chaotic than the sprint race, shall we say. Seems to have settled down quite a bit.
It also seems like as the races settled down and the drivers are maybe just not pushing as hard, not battling as hard, the standards as well. Not many people are really hitting the walls.
No. I think, was it the sprint where pretty much all the drivers had damage at one point?
Yeah, it certainly seemed like it. We had that big check-up incident, didn't we, early on?
Yeah.
Which caused a bit of carnage in the midfield. As we see Nisbet pitting as well at the end of lap 20, going on to lap 21. Again, I think from here, 17 laps. I'm not sure how many laps you got out of your medium tyres, but you're in the range possibly of taking a set of mediums to the end.
I would say so. If you drove a little bit careful for a few laps, I think you could make it to the end. I think I got around 15 or 16 laps on the mediums.
As you said, you're not really a tyre whisperer.
No.
You're using quite aggressively.
Yeah. As we see him pick up a penalty leaving the pits as well.
So one of those penalties where again, as we saw earlier with Cypher, it's one of the ones where you're like, oh, for crikey's sake.
As we see, Welsh has just had a moment on turn 1. He's also running with damage as well.
Yeah. There's a few drivers in the wars this race, but
yeah, the pit crews are going to be busy.
I don't want to ask that. I mentioned to Sarah in the red lobby where I don't want to see some of the repair bills with these cars by the end of this race. Go back to the factory and order yourself new front bumpers.
Yeah, I think some of the guys are going to be doing overtime repairing some of these.
Yeah, I've got to say, very impressive race so far from the likes of Bertie. Bertie actually setting a purple first sector, which is very good going at this stage of the race. It looks like we've got the two Lexus boys of Druid and Sitley running in just about formation in 5th and 6th. Yeah, Cypher in 7th, Demo 8, Sparky in P9, which looks like they're about to get lapped by Giles. Then we have Nisbet, who's about to serve his 3-second penalty, pit lane infringement. With
it's the worst.
Yeah, you gotta say it
absolutely kills this back straight, doesn't it?
Yeah, you end up losing more like 5 seconds than 3 seconds for the penalty.
Oh dear.
We've got then Smurf in 11th, Simon in 12th, and Merv in the 13th.
See, Phil's applying some pressure now to Gary.
That's a gap coming down. What a great spot. I didn't quite see it, but Phil without the damage and on the softer tyre, just going around the right up the inside into the first corner, and he makes that move stick. Not to quote anyone in particular, but one Phil goes up the inside, up the inside, up the inside. It's quite. I'm not sure about you, but I've seen it as quite an enjoyable race so far.
Yeah, it's one where I'm not quite sure what the outcome's going to be, other than first place looks fairly set. I'll not curse anybody.
You better touch some wood there, Potter.
Oh, best look for some. Oh, there we go. Yeah, first place is looking fairly secure.
Yeah, we've just seen a move for second place on this lap, and he seemed to have dropped Gary quite quickly, Phil.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
lap.
Gary's on old mediums and with damage. That was always going to be an easy move.
But looking at Phil's fuel, I'm not sure how many more laps he'll be able to
Yeah, I was just
maybe
looking
one
at that.
or two.
Maybe he's going to be left with more tyres than fuel, I think.
Which is never really what you want on the soft tyre, is it? You really want. Well,
No.
I know you really want to run a car as light as possible to extract the full pace, but you always want to take maybe
Want
a
to use
little
the
bit
full
more
amount of
fuel.
tyres as well, yeah.
Yeah, because you get more speed out of the softs than the mediums. Don't call me
Yeah.
Einstein or anything like that.
So we see Giles and Cypher in the pits for presumably their last stop.
Possibly. What are we looking at? We're looking about what 14 or so, 14, 15 laps to go. And you, as you
Yeah,
mentioned from your experience, that's about what you can get from the mediums.
yeah. I would be using the mediums to the end now if it was me. Which Giles
This
does.
it also promotes Phil, Gary, and Bertie up a position. I think Bertie's probably in contention here for a sneaky podium.
Yeah, at the top three is definitely looking in better shape for when he makes his last stop.
It maybe got a little bit incident in the previous lap because in a low 43 is probably not the greatest time on the soft tyre, but he is
No.
certainly catching the two drivers in front of him.
Yeah, Gary's doing 145s as well and high 144s.
That damage probably not helping that GTR out at all. It's
No.
you can just see through the message how much Bertie's just gained on that GTR.
Yeah, yeah. He's sporting the Rattler livery as well, which, useless fact, is one of my personal favourite drinks.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Oh, it's really, really nice. But a little disclaimer, other drinks are available.
What? Oh, as we see Phil go
Oh,
round on the
Phil.
exit of the final corner. Oh, it was all going so well for him.
That's heartbreaking, to say the least.
It's the second time we've seen Phil spin it at that final corner.
Yeah.
We saw him. I believe we saw him spin at the start of this race. He got
And
he got a
it
fantastic
did, yeah.
start. Got in split at the final corner. And he's
Yeah,
done
the
it again on
starts with that 458 are lethal.
lightning, should you say?
Yeah.
We saw him jump from third to first before they'd even got into the braking zone for turn one.
Yeah, which on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, the Porsche will often drop 3 places at the start.
I always thought with the Porsche, although it bogs down, could you not give it like a little kick with the handbrake? Is that not something you can do
I've
with it?
tried that and it seems to make things worse.
Oh. Yeah, don't listen to me when it comes to advice. It usually isn't correct. I can only advise. I can only do my best. But yeah, we've got the two Lexus boys still running in formation zone. Formation running third and fourth. Druid leading
Yeah.
Sitley.
Will we see a move from Sitley on Kirsch, you think?
Yeah, he's certainly getting within that in the overtaking zone. He's definitely within a second, picking up that slipstream.
Yeah, and we've seen he does like to sit behind and just choose the right moment to pounce as well.
Yeah, we saw that in the sprint race. Obviously, it's waiting until the very last lap of the race and took full advantage of Bertie's slight mistake to steal that podium position away from him.
Yeah. Can he do something similar?
Druid going a little bit wide. They're not getting the best exit out of that left-hander.
Yeah, Sitley's got a good run on him.
Yeah, City possibly looking to go around the outside as Druid goes defensive, compromising his line ever so slightly. It was like a pretty naff exit there from Druid, but City picking up a little bit of oversteer, a little bit eager on the allowed pedal.
Yeah.
Fortunately staying behind Druid as well as Druid comes in.
Druid comes in, yeah.
Which City stays out, which looks like City's almost certainly going to go for an overcut on him.
Yeah. Would make sense with his fuel level and tyres.
But with 11 laps to go, do you go softs? I know it's probably definitely very borderline, but with lower fuel, could you get 11 laps? You'd have to run a full tank now to the end of the race, as he does go soft
It does,
tyres.
yeah.
That is
Interesting.
a very aggressive strategy call from him. But it also could work
Yeah.
because Gary's not a million miles down the road from him.
No, it's not.
Also, interesting enough, I'm not sure if Giles got into a little bit of the issue in that previous lap, but Bertie seems to be matching lap times on those very worn soft tyres. I know Bertie's got low fuel and a lot worse tyres, but matching a fresh set of mediums takes some doing, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's quite impressive. What lap do you think he's going to come in and change those softs?
Bertie, I think
Yeah.
Bertie he's probably going to do maybe 1 or 2 laps. He boxed at the end of lap 18, so realistically he probably wants to get to
One
the
or
end.
two more laps.
1 or 2 more laps, yeah. Depends. Would he rather take a little bit of pain at the final lap of the race, or would he rather take the pain now?
Oh.
I'd probably take it now and just focus on hunting the people down
Yeah.
hunting down later on in the race. It looks like Charles has come up to lap Cypher.
Damo getting a 3-second penalty as well.
Those pesky penalty pit lanes, I tell you.
Pesky pit lanes.
It works since the alliteration. Yeah, it looks like Nisbet and Sparky now battling for position. Sparky picking up a bit of damage. Sparky's pace seems to be dropped off quite terribly. I say running the 1 minute 50s. Not sure what's happening here. Even for the hard
Got a
tyres.
moment somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, even for the hard tyres, that's like not fantastic pace.
No. I suspect the chicane's the culprit for the damage as well. We've seen a lot of front and front left damage.
Do we call it the dastardly chicane because it seems to catch people out?
I've called it much worse, believe me.
Yeah, but about 10 laps to go now. Is Bertie? Just see if Bertie stays out for another lap, which he does.
He does.
I'm not sure if he'll quite catch up that traffic as they are going side by side in front of him. Sparky just holding Nisbet off now, but he goes a little bit deep, which gives Sparky, well, Nisbet should I say, a look up the inside. But Sparky used the momentum and the camber of the circuit to get a much better run out of that first corner. But it's got, looking at the damage that Sparky's carrying, surely it's only going to be a matter of time before that 4GT gets passed.
I'm surprised he's not passed already.
Yeah, with
especially
that,
down the back straight.
The pit straight, yeah. The amount of
it was a little bit wide. Looks like he might make this stick. He does.
Yeah, he does. It looks like quite a simple move there, thanks to the higher top speed and no damage of that 4GT. As Sparky gets a little bit of a code brand there, clobbering that inside curb.
Yeah.
But now he has the faster Mclaren driver, Bertie, behind him, the leader of the race. I hope he doesn't hold him up too much because I feel like Bertie will maybe get a little bit hot under the collar if he gets held up that much.
Yeah, I think he's. Oh my goodness.
All kinds of shenanigans have happened here.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll all be investigated after the race by the stewards.
Yeah, getting caught out by those blue flags.
looking down the field, do you think this actually could be maybe a little bit of a blessing in disguise for this, but staying behind the soft runner on his hards, the leader?
Yeah.
Help pull him towards a Phil, although Phil seems to have maybe quite a bit of an advantage over Nisbet at the minute.
Yeah, and he's not got any damage, so we know how much pace he's got with no damage, so I would imagine he's going to break away from this bit,
Yeah, well,
but we shall see.
they're very worn, soft tyres. But he's almost running on the cords, it looks like, on the front right.
He's gone round
As it,
again.
as it looks like a. Was it like you said in the sprint race? If the police pulled him, we'd probably be getting 3 points and
It's
a
a
hefty
certain
fine.
3 points.
Probably a hefty fine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Bertie is probably going to really struggle now in these corners. Look, you can
Especially
just
for
see
this section.
You can just see even on the hard tyres, Nisbet is hounding the leader of the race, which is not something you see from that track that often. Unless you watch Catalonia, at the end of the Catalonia Red Lobby. yeah. Not that I know about that.
I don't think I've got fond memories of Catalonia either.
It couldn't go worse than my race, unfortunately. It
So
looks like
surely we're going to see Bertie in this start. His tyre is practically flat.
it is basically flat, yeah.
We're
You
seeing
couldn't
point.
scrape anything off it.
No.
You'd run a knife along it, and you'd probably get sparks.
You're almost certainly going to see another set of softs going on.
Absolutely, with only 8 laps to go, it's easy enough to get a set of softs there to the end of the race. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out. Maybe not. Well, he's not going to be done by City, but City's going to have to pit again.
Yeah.
We got Gary
Soon
coming
as
past.
well.
Yeah, got Gary coming past now on the medium tyres, but he's a little bit ahead. It's like Bertie's got a hunt down Gary now, but
He's picked
Bertie
up the pesky pit lane.
pesky pit lane penalty, so to say.
Oh dear, oh dear.
So it makes his work of trying to hunt down Gary a slight bit harder.
Yeah, I mean that might have sealed his fate there.
But I'm pretty sure he should still more than likely come out in front of Sitley after Sitley pits again for his final stop. So I think the podium is still definitely on for Bertie here.
Yep. Just looking at Charles's pace, he's still got an unbelievable lead, so he's fairly safe at the moment.
Yeah, quite a decent chunk ahead of the chasing field behind him. But there's this battle we see for what would essentially be P4 between Sitley and Druid. It looks like Druid has the maybe ever so slight pace advantage at this current moment in time. Although once they pit, Sitley will have the much better soft tyres to be able to hunt him down with. What would you rather be, the defender or the hunter? Yeah, Potter.
Oh, always the hunter. I hate defending. It's I find it much easier to follow somebody else than it is to try and fend somebody off.
For me, it's the opposite. I really do tend to struggle quite a lot trying to make an overtake. Try and make an overtake, but you probably don't believe me when it says I prefer to defend.
No, I know your tactics for attacking.
Well, attacking and defending either or, they're just as bad.
And has he got a pesky pit lane? No, maybe a little bit of lag there. I did see him cross the line, but possibly just a little bit of lag.
Towards the bottom half of the field, we got a little battle going on between Sparky and Damo. Damo on the much fresher hard tyres, which is an interesting call, pitting on that 25. Not quite confident enough to get a set of mediums 10 laps, even though we saw him go just about 10 laps in the sprint race on the set of softs.
Yeah, on the softs. Oh, gets a little bit squirrely on that curb.
I mean, if you told me at the start of this race, after 30 laps, the Sparky, Damo, and Cypher would all be within 3 seconds of each other, I wouldn't have believed you. 54 minutes in, and they're all pretty much running all in a little conga line.
Yeah, and Sparky's got quite a bit of damage as well, so will Damo and
Maybe,
Safa be able to close up and attack for that 8th place?
yeah, maybe a little bit of a sitting duck in a straight line for the McLaren driver Sparky. But even then, in this bet, it's not a million miles down the road compared to him neither.
No. And we know that GT's fast.
Yeah, it really is. There we are. So it looks like on the previous lap, Citily did pit in, as we see Druid pit in as well, which is an interesting call. Looks like it has to be with fuel as well as tyres, which should probably cost him in his battle for a P5 with Citily.
Yeah, as Citily just goes past now, so that's he's lost out quite big there because they were running quite close for quite a long time as well.
Yeah, we're in the formation, as I said multiple times.
Yeah,
With Druid normally being the one in front of a Citily.
interesting.
However, Druid has got quite a lot of free air to drive into. You know, not really challenging from the driver behind, which is Giles actually. The nearest driver behind him is Giles coming through the final corner now.
We
And
see Damo and Sparky going at it, and Sparky's gone wide. Is that going to let Cypher through? It momentarily does. Can he make it stick into this last section?
Ooh.
A little bit of contact.
Rear end.
For the time being.
A rear end may have been touched in that encounter, but it looks like he's fortunate enough to escape getting any damage from it. As we say usually in the chat, thank you Simon, as he gets well out of the way for the people coming through. Yeah, it's a little reference to the admins. You know, they know what I'll be on about.
Yeah, good observation skills for the blue flags there by Simon.
And going into a P3, Bertie. Oh, it looks like Bertie's picked up a bit of damage here on the previous lap, which is probably hindered his attempts to hunt down Gary. So it's not been the cleanest of final stints for Bertie here. Obviously picking up that pesky pit lane penalty as he exited the pit lane, and unfortunately getting damaged now.
Yeah, I think his chances of charging up on Gary are pretty slim now, unless Gary makes a big mistake.
As we see Merv getting well out of the way. Oh, I'm not sure what's going to happen there with Merv. I just see him pointing about 90 degrees in towards the barrier.
Yeah, that's the suboptimal line through there.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's quite the fastest.
No.
But it looks like we got a. They're still pretty close to that battle for a P8 with about 4 laps to go. As our leader is about to start lap 34 out of 37. It's been quite a dominant display from Giles this race.
It has. It's been quite impressive. It's minimal mistakes, but I think everybody's made mistakes. It's quite easily done around here, but he's managed to keep it minimal, and when he has, it's not affected him too badly.
And looking at it, this battle for the final podium position may not be over just yet, because in the previous few laps it seems like the pace has been quite even between Bertie and Phil. Obviously Bertie with that damage and softer tyres, but Phil on the harder but with no damage. For example, on the previous lap, Phil's took a second and a half out of Bertie, so this battle for the final podium position may not be over with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I think it's even more than a second. It's nearly 2 seconds, 1.8 seconds that last lap.
Yeah, so Phil is almost picked up damage there, scraping that wall a little bit. He seems to be giving it absolutely everything, running it on the absolute ragged edge.
As you would be with the sniff of a podium.
I suppose you would as well, Potter, if you were in this position.
Absolutely, I'd be quali mode.
If in doubt, flat out.
Yeah, something like that. Doesn't always work.
But it's all fun and games until you spear into a barrier at 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, and then it's just soul destroying.
Oh, tell me about it.
Let's see if he can keep it together and hunt him down.
Looks like Damo's also found a little bit of a turn of pace, so to speak. He's seems to have dropped Cypher quite a bit, and in turn Cypher has also dropped Sparky.
Yeah, Cypher's got some damage. Just on a 147.2, so it's not ideal.
Not at all. It looks like that. Maybe there's that little battle, that little bit of battling is maybe finished up now. As we see Merv going off again. Yeah, it's not been the best of rounds for Merv today, but I'm sure he'll try and bounce back strong at the next round.
I think he'll be hoping that this track's not on the roster for next season.
Well, I think quite a few people will be hoping for that after this race.
Yeah, me being one of them.
Yeah, it looks like the battle for P3 is still on with only 2 laps to go now.
Yeah, it does seem to be catching.
But yeah, it looks like now I don't want to alarm people, but it seems like Bertie's got quite a bit of traffic in front of him. But it looks like the entire field is, well, almost the entire field is on the back straight.
Yeah, on the squiggly bit.
The very technical term, squiggly bit. You know very well, Fodder.
Don't think Simon gets well and truly out of the way as he normally does.
Yeah, and let it spill through as well. But I'm not sure what's happened there, but Phil seems to be catching quite quickly.
All to play.
It's Bertie. I think Bertie might have cost himself a podium again.
No.
You got a feel for him, cost himself. Well, unfortunately, I say cost him. Maybe that's a little bit too mean to say. A slight mistake, which cost him a podium in the sprint race to Giles, and then now in the feature race, it looks like he is now running side by side. I'm sure he'll be fighting tooth and nail to try and get that final podium position there. But interesting enough, that McLaren's not really dropping with the damage.
It's not, which is surprising.
Yeah, it looks like Bertie going for the cutback with their exit, but
I mean, if he can put a little bit of pressure on and force him into a mistake, he's still got a chance here.
Also, Gary in front looks like looking at a bit of lap traffic as Sparky as well. I'm not sure if there's enough laps left for Sparky to get involved with the Phil Bertie battle.
No.
But Sparky runs a little bit wide but gets well out of the way for Gary.
Who's your money on for the last podium spot then?
My money, I'm say biased, but I really hope Bertie can just clinch it in this final lap.
He's managing to stay with him,
which is impressive considering the damage.
Yep.
Although he's got
we know
a bit less.
We know it doesn't take much to ruin a race around here with one little mistake.
Yeah, run over a curb, take a little bit too much curb, get a dodgy bounce from the physics, and you're off to meet barrier.
Yeah. Which I think the only car I'd seen that can really take the curbs is the BMW.
Well, I know on board wise it looks like from the red lobby, Sophia in the Mercedes AMG was also taking a lot of curb, and the car seemed to not complain all that much.
Lucky. I'm not so fortunate.
Me neither.
My car's allergic to the curbs.
My Genesis seems to be allergic to putting on the throttle. But entering the final section now, the final lap of the race, we got Giles. What can you say? It's pretty much once Phil drops it at the end of the final lap, is pretty much run start to finish fodder.
Yep.
Been first.
Quite an impressive show of force. A well-deserved win if it's pretty guaranteed now, isn't it?
Yeah, final corner, kept it clean. He's kept it fantastic, and Giles takes his first blue lobby win of the season. What a fantastic drive from him as he comes over the finish line and wins
very
the
well
race.
deserved.
Very comfortable, isn't it? You got to say.
Yeah, he's had a fairly quiet race. Once he broke away from everybody else, that was sort of game over for him. Just keep your nose clean and he takes P1.
Yeah, and we've got Gary coming down the pitch right now, taking P2 again. Another very impressive drive. Those drivers who qualified on the softs really took full advantage of it, didn't they? As he comes over the finish line and takes second place.
Yeah, fell in third as well. Quite an impressive show.
Yeah, it was like Phil did just about manage to hold on from Bertie. Unfortunately, that damage just a little bit too much to overcome, and that pesky pit lane penalty costing Bertie in the end that podium position. We have
Sittley in P5. Another strong result for Sittley. He's done all right on this track.
Yeah, he can pop up with quite a good performance every now and again, and really catch some drivers by surprise.
Yeah, certainly one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and the final driver on the lead lap with Druid. Druid, the second of the Lexus drivers. Not quite close enough to say they're running in formation to end. But we have Nisbet in 7th, Damo in 8th, Cypher in P9, Sparky 10th, Smurf 11th, Simon, a very impressive P12. And then the final driver to finish is Merv as he weaves across the line and he rips the handbrake for the sake of it. Yeah, talk about finishing in style.
Finishing in style.
So it was a great race. Who do you think was your driver of the day?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, it's hard to ignore Giles's performance in feature. He didn't really do anything wrong. Who else did well? I mean, Sittley did well for a podium as well in the sprint. There's quite a few drivers really that have done pretty good.
Well, I think it was a double podium for Giles. So obviously P3, I want to say, in the sprint race and winning the feature race. And so Giles never really put a foot wrong in the race. So I think Giles is probably my personal vote for driver of the day.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. It's a well-deserved result for both the sprint and the feature, I think.
Yeah. And now let's hear from our podium finishers for the event. Take it away.
Right, so on to the qualifying results, and it sets us up for the feature race. Obviously, reminder that the tyres that people set their fastest lap time on will be the tyres that they have to start the feature race on. And I'm going to hand over to Midnight first, who's just going to run through the first half of the grid.
Spot on, thank you very much, Sarah. So, the qualifying results, Kai leading the way on medium tyres as well on a 1 minute 39.1, 6 tenths clear of P2, so that is ominous for the race. We could be looking at a Kai special here, maybe even a Grand Slam. But in P2, in that AMG, we have Sophia, who will be doing her best to take Kai off that top spot and then claim it for herself. And with that lightning start the AMG can get, it's going to be anyone's guess down into the chicane for the first time. Then in P3 we have the sprint race winner of Charlie on the 1 minute 39.7, only a few hundredths, a few thousandths behind Sophia. But right on his tail, a couple of hundredths behind him, is Fodder himself, also on medium tyres on 1 minute 39.7 also. Kudos breaking the trend a little bit in that McLaren on soft tyres on 1 minute 40 flat. Then we have our very own Pedro, one of our admin, on 1 minute 40.4. I have to say, Sarah, those second to fourth there, very, very close. But if you'd like to take the rest of the grid.
Yeah, and in P7 we have Midnight ISO starting on the medium tyres, setting a time of a 1:40.6, so only about I'd say 2 tenths behind Pedro, so those two incredibly close yet again. But in P8 we then have Sophie on the medium, setting a time of 1:41.3. Starting just behind her in P9 we then have Coach in that Supra, starting on the mediums with a time of 1:41.4, and only setting a time which is only just about a tenth behind, we have Nigel on the mediums yet again, but with a time of a 1:41.5. And then rounding off the grid tonight, we have Mercedes in that GTR with a time of a 1:41.7, also setting his time on the medium tyres. So it's an exciting grid that we've got tonight for the feature race midnight.
Yes, exactly that. And we have Nigel off the back of a very good race win at Barcelona last week, looking very competitive again here at Dragon Trail Reverse, but Kai just out front. That is an outstanding lap. We saw a very similar thing with Giles in Blue Lobby, so interesting to see. When you get hooked up around here, you just tend to take off into the distance, but we're going to be going into the feature race. But Sarah, who is your eye going to be on for potential surprise result, win or podium?
I'm going to say Fodder. I'm going to back Fodder in the Porsche here. I think if he can get a good getaway, potentially a podium might be on the cards if he can get in front of Charlie and or maybe Sophia as well. Apart from that, I think you can't write off yourself Midnight, and I'd say maybe potentially Coach might have a good result around here as well. But I think Katie the Kai, obviously starting in that pole position, he's eager to keep it and keep that first place on the podium. So I'm sure he's gonna try and get his way from the rest of the grid as soon as he can. So I mean, he's always one to watch. But apart from that, I think it's going to be a grid full of battles, and I can't wait to get into it.
I couldn't agree more. And we have only a little bit of variance in strategy there, only with Koulios breaking the trend and going to soft tyres. So we're going to see a pretty static race from strategy for the first stint, I feel, here. But like you said, you can't with Fodder, you can never count him out. Charlie with that sprint win, he's on form, and you've got Sophia in the mix too. But the one I'm going to say keep an eye out for, Mercedes. He can only go forward from where he is in P11, and well, let's face it, he's going to be wanting some bigger points than where he started. So good luck to him out there. With that in mind, I think the world is Kai's oyster for this one, but let's see how it all gets on during this feature race for Red Lobby round 2. Over to the commentators.
So the cars are revving and raring to go, ready for Dragon Trail feature race. We've got I believe Koulios starting on the soft tyres and Mercedes starting on the hards, everyone else on mediums, so everyone mostly on level playing field, as Fodder unfortunately loses a few positions on the line because of that Porsche and how it starts, but he's eager to get back into it. It looks like Katie the Kai taking a very early lead, although Sophia not out of the question just yet, going side by side with Katie the Kai going into this very difficult chicane. Looks like Sophia just slightly further ahead, although Katie the Kai having that inside line forces Sophia out, losing her quite a lot of time, and is blocking Charlie and Koulios from coming through. Kirk, have you spotted anything else going on?
It looks like Fodder has picked up a bit of front end damage in that little melee, as it looks like everybody's going 2 and 3 wide abreast behind as they all sort themselves out. It looks like Koulios has picked up rear end damage. That might have explained maybe a little bit of coming together there between Koulios and Fodder. Koulios actually losing a position on those soft tyres. It also seems like Nigel and Charlie have made up a few positions there, Sarah.
Looks like a few early winners there, especially, like you say, well, unfortunately, Koulios not being one of those. On that soft tyre, you really have to capitalise on the softs really quickly, and unfortunately, he's on the back foot at the moment, but let's see how he can do on those soft tyres. Mercedes, on the other hand, obviously starting on the hard tyres, has already made up 3 places, so eager to make that strategy work, I'm sure. Obviously, he'll be aware that he will pit a little bit later than the people around him. Koulios looked like he was going to go for a move on Nigel there, but thought better of it. The two nearly coming together. But obviously on to lap number 2 now. Katie Lekai having a big gap to Sophia. Sophia looked like she made a mistake on the kind of halfway through that first lap. Everyone else, by the looks of it, is starting lap number 2. Pedro going into that inside line, trying to get a move on Mercedes done. Brakes a little bit earlier, obviously just in front. Oh, as I say that, elbows out from Pedro there, kind of elbows out to Mercedes. Mercedes looks like he might lose all those positions he just gained, Kirk.
Yeah. So it's certainly not going well for Mercedes at the minute. You know, up to P7 at the start of the end of the first lap, and already down to 9. It was like Pedro hitting the wall hard, picking up front left damage, which is not going to help his race early on. And speaking of damage as well, it looks like somewhere around that first lap, Nigel has got picked up front end damage. He spins, hits the exit curve awkwardly, and spins and drops him down towards the back of the pack. Fortunately, the long way still goes in this race. It looks like Pedro and Mercedes are still battling side by side. Mercedes up to 7th, dropped to 9th, back up to 7th again by the end of the second lap, Sarah. So it looks like they're all yo-yoing round at the back of the pack.
I think that's what I find so exciting about these races, that especially in this first stint, you know, everyone's kind of yo-yoing around, like you say. But it looks like Pedro at the moment having a bit more of a difficult time in that Lamborghini. I'm not sure if the Lamborghini is the best car for this track, but let's see what Pedro can do. It looks like, Sophie coming together with Pedro there, goes onto the inside line. Pedro losing another position to Sophie there. But yeah, apart from that, I've just caught Iceman having a bit of a snap there coming out of that downhill chicane. But unfortunately, obviously, like you say, Nigel in P11 after that very difficult second lap.
But it looks like heading into the third lap, so it seems like everything's kind of started to settle down a little bit now. Gaps are starting to form, especially at the front of the field. It looks like Kai is taking quite a commanding lead early on, with Sophia in second, Charlie in third. Charlie carrying on that strong form he showed in the sprint, and obviously it seems like that BMW is going quite well around here.
Yeah, and I'm sure Charlie will be very, very happy indeed with that, especially obviously last season driving that Ford GT. He moaned quite a bit about it, so it's good to see him doing well in a car that he picked. But Foden not too far behind in that Porsche, obviously making the medium tyres work in his favour. Porsche not being the best car off the line, but obviously it takes a little bit of warming up. But I'm sure Fodder is going to do well. Let's keep an eye on him.
No, I'm just thinking, is Pedro been into the wars a little bit again this lap? It looks like he's dropped a lot of time to both Mercedes and Sophie this lap under increasing pressure from Iceman. It looks like he is carrying a bit of front end damage on his Lambo. Not the greatest start to his race, but there's a long way to go yet.
Obviously picking up that front end damage into the death chicane earlier on. Obviously heavy damage means that he's going to have to make that decision whether he comes into the pits, repairs that damage and goes straight back out, or if he kind of incorporates it into his first pit stop. But it looks like Sophie going for a move here on Mercedes on the start of lap number 3, going into that inside line. Mercedes all trying to cut her off at the apex, but Sophie sticking to her guns, claiming that apex and getting in front of Mercedes, who clips the grass a little bit there. But the battle between these two heating up, as we see Pedro coming into the pits, like I said, taking on a bit of fuel. I'm not sure if he picked up a fresh set of rubber or not, but obviously definitely repairing that damage, so he'll be coming out in P11. Let's see, obviously, if he can get back into the groove of things.
Yeah, he took a fresh set of hard tyres, obviously looking to just use the clean air now to his advantage, just settle into his own race pace, and seeing what this race has in store for him. Interestingly enough, this lap, or on the previous lap, it was like Sophia did set the fastest lap of the race, being a 39.6. It looks like she's trying to hunt down Kaylee Kai, which isn't an easy task, but I'm sure she's giving it a good go, because on her day she is probably one of the fastest drivers in the league, Sarah.
I think obviously, like we mentioned in the sprint race as well, she's incredibly fast, but obviously sometimes some aggressive moves, maybe put her on the back foot ever so slightly. But I think, like you say, very eager to potentially win the feature race after obviously coming so close in the sprint race. But unfortunately, after that mistake, she got on the podium, but unfortunately, obviously lost that first place. So I'm sure she'll be very eager to try and win this one. But slightly further back, we've still got that battle between Mercedes and Sophie going on. Obviously, on to lap number 5 now. There's a tiny little gap between the two here. Mercedes, obviously, on those hard tyres, they'll be, starting to come into fruition here for him. So let's see, obviously, what he can do. I think Mercedes is definitely brave. He likes to go on the hard tyres, be slightly offset from the drivers around him. Sometimes it plays to his favour, sometimes not. But it looks like so far, doing him well.
I've got to say, interestingly enough, at this early phase of the race, it looks like his front tyre wear is very similar to that of Sophie on the medium tyre, and maybe a slightly bit better than Nyson.
Pedro is back into the pits.
Looks like he picked up some more damage on that previous start, that front end. This has not been a fantastic start to the race, but I'm sure Pedro will be giving it his all to try and improve his position.
See, the Huracan is a very kind of difficult car to drive, especially around the curves here. So maybe the car is just not built for this track, and Pedro finding it a little bit difficult to handle around here. But obviously, only 5 laps in, we've still got a lot of the race to go.
Ooh.
So
Sophia
never say never.
Going wide at the final corner.
Yeah, losing a little bit of time, but not much. But Charlie looks like he can just about see Sophia in his clutches, so I think he'll be trying to get that place off of her. But it looks like Koulias as well. Obviously, he's still on that soft tyre. He's currently in 5th place. But yeah, obviously, the soft tyre was a very brave choice. I don't know if you agree about that, Kirk. But obviously, when everyone else is on mediums and you're on the softer tyre, it's that thing that he's got to make the move stick now. Otherwise, he's going to be on the back foot come when he needs to pit.
Well, he already is slightly on the back foot with that rear end damage, losing a little bit of rear end downforce. Thinking the car maybe ever so leery in the that little sector in the on the back straight into that little S section. Interestingly enough, it seems like the pace of the tyres is starting to switch, as on the previous lap, Midnight was about 0.3 of a lap quicker than Koulias, and Koulias has dropped about 0.6 to Podder in front as well. Podder also with front end damage, which we didn't see, but I believe Podder and Koulias maybe got into an incident on the opening lap, Sarah.
Quite close between quite a few of the drivers there, so it wouldn't surprise me if the two came together. Obviously, when you're fighting so closely, these things unfortunately do happen. But I don't think it's the driver's best thing to get damage on the first lap, because it throws so many questions into your mind as to, do you pit, do you repair the damage? Obviously it'll bring you right to the back of the field, but then in your next pit stop it will save you a bit of time. So yeah, obviously decisions to be made by quite a few of the drivers. Obviously damage for Pedro, he came into the pits, repaired that, is back out.
Pedro's got more damage, Sarah.
More damage, unfortunately for Pedro, picking up more damage. It's very rare, very, very rare that we see Pedro obviously having a difficult time around, certain tracks. I've got to say, back in the day, me and Pedro used to race what I consider the normal layout of this track. So I think it's the car, unfortunately, because I've seen Pedro fly around Seaside. So yeah, I'm very unfortunate to see him not gelling with the car and the track combo potentially. But I think it's so early in the race, we can't rule him out just yet. Obviously he's quite far behind at the moment. But looks like a little bit of a battle emerging between Iceman and Sophie here. And Nigel not too far behind. These drivers keeping it quiet at the moment, just in their own little race. But sometimes that's all you need. It's just a quiet race and to make some moves.
Yeah, it looks like I was just gonna. I did want to mention earlier, Sarah, that on the previous lap, Sophie did pick up damage front right. As you can see by lap time, running about around almost 8 seconds off the pace from her usual pace due to that incident she got into, which we didn't quite see.
I was going to say, because she was quite close to Mercedes, and unfortunately, obviously, coming off worse with some damage, and that's brought her into Iceman and Nigel's path. But obviously, potentially that could be damage that could be repaired in a pit stop. But will she come into the pits, or will she carry on? But obviously, she's going to lose quite a lot of time if she carries on. But she's decided to go for another lap. Obviously, that's going to probably be the best thing for Iceman. He's going to try and chase her down here. But everyone else at the moment, Kirk, is anything else going on that you can see?
Sophie picked up damage as well, I believe, on this over this lap or a few laps ago. Picked up her front damage, which is maybe putting her under a little bit of threat to Charlie. As you see, that gap has come down quite a lot. Is Sophie looks like she's going quite aggressive on the curves through this little trailing S section, and that lack of front downforce is really costing her quite a lot of time to Charlie.
Yeah, and talking about aggressive over the curbs, I don't know if you caught it, but Midnight having a little bit of a Code Brown moment there, going through the death chicane in the last lap. He just about managed to, get through there unscathed with no damage, but that did let Mercedes through into that P6 position. So Midnight, obviously, he's got no damage, but I'm sure he'll need to breathe a little bit, because that looked like it could have been a very scary moment for him.
And Mercedes doing very well at the moment. Saying he's qualified and started on the hard tyre up at P6, avoiding all the carnage. You were saying, Sarah?
Unfortunately, Sophie going round, coming out of that banked left-hand corner, lost the car, and unfortunately, it did look like she she kind of held off Iceman and Nigel until that happened, but I think picking up some more damage there.
Unfortunately so. Looking through going through the pack at the minute, it looks like Kyrgios is probably going to be our first driver to pit, looking at his tyres. Looking at the front barrel, for second, should I say. It looks like Sophie is still slowly being pulled in by Charlie, ever so slightly. And I think that's all it is for the minute, Sarah.
Obviously,
Sophia
still
in the pit.
Sophia and Sophia. Obviously, Sophie repairing that damage. Sophia, on the other hand, still has that front end damage, and she looked like she had a little bit of an off-track excursion at the start of this wiggly bit, as we call it, which did let Charlie catch up to her a little bit. But I've got to say, Charlie today around Dragon Trail just seems to be in a world of his own. He's racing quite hard, but quite fair, and he's putting a lot of pressure on the drivers around him today.
Well, to put it into reference, Charlie in the last lap set a 40.7, Kai set a 41.0. So Charlie actually quicker than Kai in that previous lap. And I'm not sure how much Sophia is going to be able to defend from this BMW. Obviously, her front end damage, costing her a bit of straight line speed, and you can clearly see it by the end of the straight. Charlie is visibly catching, so I'm not sure how long she would be able to defend for. It looks like Sophia gets very squiggly on the exit of the first corner, Sarah.
Yeah, and talking about moves as well, Nigel making a move into that downhill chicane on Iceman. Iceman taking a slightly wider line, potentially, choosing life there, and lets Nigel through. But those two, obviously, Nigel taking P8, Iceman taking P9. But going up to the battle between that P3 and P2.
Ivan lifting off into turn 1, choosing not to fight Nigel into the first corner. Probably not realising that Nigel has a bit of front end damage and that will be a little bit slow on the straights.
The drivers, unless they see it, they won't be aware, obviously, that certain cars have damage. It's all about just kind of racing your own race until you need to obviously take into consideration as to, other people's tyres and damage, etc.
It looks like Charlie had a little look up the inside there on Sophia. Sophia getting a very bad run on the exit of the S's. It looks like Charlie at this point is now basically pushing through the corners in his BMW. It's the sight you don't see out it's not unseen on the motorway, Sarah. A BMW following a bit too closely.
Yeah, no, definitely wouldn't see on the UK roads. No, obviously, I don't think Charlie was using his indicators either. But Sophia, making his job a lot easier, goes into the pits and lets Charlie free into that P2 position. So obviously, the damage may be hindering her pace just a little bit, and she's had enough. But that promotes fodder into that P3 position, and it looks like Koulios into the pits as well, and Midnight. So we've got our first round of pitters.
Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly enough, Koulios is probably doing a great job there, taking his soft tyres the same amount of time as the people on the medium tyres.
Do you know what? I completely forgot he was on the soft tyres. So yeah, well done, Koulios.
Yeah, but I wonder who would you think has the advantage now? The drivers who decide to stay out longer, and without damage, such as Kai and Charlie. The people who decide to stay out longer with damage, so people like Fodder and Nigel, or is it all advantage Mercedes? Obviously, at the minute, it's probably going to have to do one less stop compared to the other drivers, saying that he started on the hards.
What? I don't know who to pick, because you can kind of see obviously the thinking behind Mercedes' strategy. Obviously he's in that P4 position at the moment on the hard tyres.
Sorry,
but
Sarah, I hate to butt in, but it looks like Iceman got into trouble at that hairpin at the bottom of the circuit, picking up front and right damage. It looks like he went too deep and possibly hit the wall, which has cost him a position to the freshly stopped drivers, so Sophia and Midnight. And interestingly enough, Sophia's come out on the hard tyres, while Midnight has come out on the soft tyres. So definitely alternate strategies going on there.
Yeah,
and you've got to think surely Midnight it's got to clear Sophia as soon as possible to take full advantage of those soft tyres.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And do you know what else I was thinking? Sophia is not going to make Midnight's job easy here. If she can, she's going to do in all of her efforts is to keep Midnight behind her and to burn through those soft tyres. So I'm eager to see what happens between the two here. These two have raced, numerous times in the past. They're aware of how each other race. Obviously, Sophia quite an aggressive racer, but Midnight, if he sees a chance, he will go for it. But the two, I'm sure, obviously, are gonna battle very hard here. Although it did look like Sophia went a little bit wide there, but yeah. It's going to heat up between these two, Kirk.
Yeah, it really is. It looks like Midnight is basically pushing Sophia through that chicane. Maybe hoping that she makes a little bit of a mistake. It looks like she might have grazed the wall a little bit there. Midnight looks up the inside. Can he outbrake the Mercedes driver? He can, but he also goes deep. It forces Sophia to possibly avoid an action and then parks it on the apex. And it looks like Midnight maybe let her go, feeling a little bit bad for what he did, which is a little bit unlike Midnight. I'm not sure he has that
I don't think he did. I think that potentially may have been a little bit of a mistake from Midnight as well. He went ever so slightly off the track, which meant that he couldn't put the traction down on that McLaren, and she did let Sophia back through. But yeah, I'm a little bit scared because I know these two pretty well, and I'm scared of it. I'm hoping that they don't end up, in the barriers together. But yeah, they're gonna race hard, but hopefully they're gonna race fair as well between the two. Obviously, this is playing into Koulios' favour as well, because the more that these two can hold each other up, the more better chance that he has to catching them.
Yeah, but it looks like Midnight has got a much better run out of the final proper corner. You can already see going on board with him that he is already closing that gap before we even reach the start-finish line. He's going to have to pick his side. He's going to go inside or he's going to go outside. He's going to go around the outside into the first proper corner. Can he outbrake Sophia? He can't, but he looks for the cutback.
Oh.
He gets that McLaren tucked underneath that Mercedes, and he gets the run on the exit of the corner. Now it looks like he may have to defend a little bit into the chicane, and he doesn't. He just parks it in front of the Mercedes. It doesn't give Sophia the option to go around, and holds the position in front of her. Now he has got to use those soft tyres to his full advantage. and pull away as best he can. Now that he's got clean air, he can make the most of him without being stuck behind the hard tyre runner of Sophia.
Yeah, what a move from Midnight there, though. Obviously, I think everyone will agree. When you hit a switcheroo, it's one of the best feelings in the world when you get it right. And at Midnight, getting it right there, timing it well, and like you say, obviously getting in front of Sophia, crucial for his soft tyres and their performance. So let's see what he can do in some clean air. Nigel not too far in front of him now. You can just about see him in the distance. So I'm sure that will be Midnight's next target. But Sophia, obviously, she'll being on the hard tyres, she can stay out a lot longer. So I'm excited to see where these two end up towards the end of the race. But that's on a different story. Having a little bit further back on the grid, looks like Pedro into that P10 position. Starting to feel hopefully a little bit more comfortable with the track and the car combination. But yeah, I'm sure. Oh, Kyrgios, a massive snap on the curb. I think we caught that at the exact same time.
We did.
Mistake.
We both heard it.
I think it caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting him to come out of the corner and do that, but unfortunately, Kyrgios obviously didn't pick up any damage, which is pretty good for him and his race. But that will lose him quite a lot of time to that battle between Sophia and Midnight. He looked like he was getting closer and closer each lap. So unfortunate for Kyrgios, but he's not out of the running just yet.
I did just want to mention quickly. Midnight, due to being stuck behind Sophia for 2 laps, I was actually setting slower lap times than both Katie the Kai, Charlie, and even Fodder on some occasions. That's what happens when you're stuck behind a driver battling on this circuit. Not really many options on this track to overtake. Oh, it's Midnight. Oh, what's he doing? Oh, he's gone. He's gone to a bit barrier apparently, Sarah. picking up a bit of front end damage.
I just caught the back end of that, but it did look like it was Midnight Airways, shall we say, catching a little bit of air coming out of that section there. And unfortunately, when that happens, it's just so hard to control the car. But picking up some quite major damage to the front end and suspension, which will put him on the obviously that back foot between that battle between himself and Sophia. And yeah, unfortunate for him. Rare mistake.
Not what he wanted, really. On that soft tyre, finally cleared Sophia, and unfortunately, he just absolutely clobbered the curb and just unsettled the car. And there's no way he's really going to save it as he pits to repair said damage.
I think you hit the nail on the head here, though. Obviously, around this track, there's little room for error. Obviously, the curb's quite high and aggressive. The death chicane, as we call it, it's you've got to keep your concentration levels so high around this track. And even just a tiny little dip in that concentration is when those mistakes happen. And just having a quick look at Charlie here, he's coming up to the back of Pedro here. Obviously, Pedro being shown the blue flags, so I'm sure Charlie will be eager to try and get past Pedro as quick as he can. Obviously, extend that lead to Mercedes, just I'd say a few corners behind him at the moment. But Katie the Kai freshly pitted with a new set of medium tyres, so Katie the Kai is in a brilliant position at the moment, Kirk, to obviously in the net lead at the moment.
In third place, say fresh medium tyres. No one really all that close no one really too close in front or behind. He can really focus on just running his own race. He doesn't need to push. He's quite comfortable. He hasn't got to push his cane. He hasn't got to defend. He hasn't got to attack. So he's in prime position to do really well in this race.
Yeah, and trying to pull out another champion drive, as we call them. But a little bit of action between Sophia and Nigel here as we come on to the 16th lap. It looks like Sophia trying to get those hard tyres up to temperature. Sails past Nigel. Obviously, Nigel is his tyres compared to hers are a little bit worse for wear as they both go sliding around the first corner. In P6, we've got Fodder on a fresh set of soft tyres compared to the two in front of him. So let's see what he can do here and see if he can catch up to the two drivers in front of him.
for the pitting at the end of lap 14 for the set of new set of softs. It'll be interesting to see how far you can get. I think we saw, well, we did see Kyrgios take them to the end of lap 10. So if we say yep.
Fodder already looking like he's going to make a move on Nigel here. I'm not sure if Nigel made a small mistake as he lost quite a lot of time to Sophia, but that's not stopped Fodder from sailing past Nigel here on that fresh set of soft tyres.
You'll see Charlie Pitt as well from the lead of the race, which I believe we will see Mercedes going to the lead of the race, which is very good going. You know, is pretty much on just about, maybe give or take a few laps, half race distance on these set of hards.
And that's quite a difficult job to do. Obviously, we don't see many one stops being used quite a lot, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to do it on a set of medium tyres. Obviously, he'll have to be aware that he has to use 2 compound of tyres, so potentially maybe on another set of hards and then softs right at the end. I don't know, wouldn't rule it out just yet. But,
I think going based on Kyrgios' strategy, I think if he gets... What was that, Sarah?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Sophie, unfortunately, coming into that chicane, she had a little bit of a moment there and nearly collected some traffic coming through, but unfortunately picking up some more damage.
It really seems like a tale of two halves of the grid. You know, we got the bottom half who maybe had a few incidents, and then we got the top half who run very clean races, and for the most part kept out of ish trouble. I don't think any drivers had a 100% clean race so far, Sarah, unless your name's Kai.
Yeah, unless your name's Kai, but I think even he's made some small issues, as we see Fodder going up the outside, then the inside, and now back on the outside of Sophia here. He's really making those soft tyres work against Sophia's hard tyres. Let's see, obviously, if he can get in front of her. We do know how she likes to defend quite aggressively. Fodder into the inside line. Sophia hugging that outside line at the moment, but will she try and cap up the apex off? And she does. She just gets in front of Fodder before the apex, sealing it off, but obviously goes off the track, nearly hitting the grass, but that's going to give Fodder the better exit out of the corner, and the two are going side by side onto lap 18, Kirk.
They are running side by side down the pit straight. It looks like the Porsche has a little bit more pull than the Mercedes. As Sophia brakes slightly later than Fodder, forces him to go around the outside. Can't quite make the exit work for him, and Sophia, all credit is due, managed to get much better exit on those hard tyres compared to Fodder's softs.
Although it did look like it was very, very harsh, aggressive defending by Sophia there. She did. Yes.
She scraped the wall on the exit and picked up damage, unfortunately, and goes wide and hits the wall again. Oh, it's Nigel Fodder's are off behind, Sarah. You thought that as well.
Charlie as well, just being able to get through unscathed. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes when you're focusing on the driver in front, you will follow them off. I've done it numerous times, but I know who will be smiling ear to ear, and that will be Fodder. He obviously manages to get in front of Sophia there. Sophia making a mistake, which has brought her into that P6 position. She looked a little bit sideways coming through this section as well, but yeah, unfortunate, obviously picking up damage on those hard tyres. Will she stick with the damage, or will she come in and change her strategy? We'll obviously keep an eye on that, but Nigel looking a little bit sideways as well.
It depends how brave she wants to be, and if anyone was paying attention to Kyrgios' strategy, because I think from now, if you say you do about 10 laps on the soft tyres, you can go double softs to the end now. Is Mercedes pits with no fuel left, Sarah?
Cutting it perfectly, or cutting it fine. I'm sure only Mercedes will know that, but yeah, very brave to basically have nothing in the tank as you come in, but that will promote Fodder into that P2 position. Caden Kai still sailing out in first, having a I'd say a pretty good race so far, kept out of most of the trouble. But everyone else, obviously, like you say, I think a few drivers after this race will definitely have some battle scars, and probably will be glad to see the back of Dragon Trail Seaside Reverse.
I don't want to see the repair bill on some of these cars there. Right?
Oh yeah, I can imagine there'll be quite a lot after the races today. But I think obviously that just goes to show that the drivers obviously have to endure so many laps around this track. It's a pretty difficult track, so definitely I can fully appreciate the drivers and their efforts obviously racing around here. It's not easy, so yeah, give yourselves a pat on the back.
Did Nigel make another mistake? Because I think he was in front of Sophia, wasn't he?
I was just trying to have a look. I think Sophia did manage to get in front of him, unless we didn't spot a potential mistake. Obviously, Nigel's still carrying that damage. He's been carrying that damage for quite a while now. Obviously, the medium tyres look like they're coming to the end of the stint. So he's been holding on to that damage for quite a while. But he's doing a good job so far. I think obviously Koulios coming together with Nigel here. Koulios being very lucky not to pick up damage, because that did look like a bit of a hefty hit there.
Yeah, certainly, yeah. There's Archie Bardian and whatever that was there. Maybe caught out by Nigel's early braking. Obviously, we know Nigel's tyres are quite worn. Maybe he didn't know that and didn't expect Nigel to pit so early. Brake so early, should I say, not pit.
But yeah, I think Koulios being incredibly lucky that he didn't pick up damage there. Obviously, Koulios having the rear end damage for quite a long time in that first stint, so he'll be eager not to pick up any more damage for a little bit if he can. But yeah, I think obviously Koulios after that first stint, he's managed to kind of worm his way back into that top 5, and I'm sure he'll be looking to try and seal that as Sophie goes round coming out of the that left-hander, lets Koulios through and then re-enters the track, obviously making sure to enter the track safely. But again, obviously with that damage still, not doing her race any favours.
I think we both spotted that at the same time again, Sarah. We both were a little gasp as we both saw her spin. It looks like Nigel has finally pitted and come out on a fresh set of hards, maybe taking us to the end of the race, Sarah.
Potentially, obviously, needs to take about 17 laps, and we've seen Mercedes
on the mediums.
Wow, that's quite a stint. Well, if I'm sure we can do it on the hards then. I was thinking, obviously Mercedes as well, a very similar strategy. He did 19 on the hards, so I think obviously Nigel and Mercedes on very similar strategies, just obviously slightly different laps when they came into the pit. But I'll be eager to kind of see what happens between those two. Maybe they might finish quite close together.
And going on with our race leader, it looks like he's got a little bit of lap traffic to contend with, shall I say, as Pedro nicely pulls to the right and gets out his way. And it looks like we see another lap car just down the road, which I believe is Nigel, Sarah. It's Kitty car, yeah.
We have lost
a little bit on the ground.
We have lost Sophia. I think that's a retirement from the race. She came into the pits, and unfortunately we lost her. So maybe potentially, obviously, very difficult race for her, but we hope to see her back. Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, it happens, too much damage to the car, losing willpower, unfortunately, to continue. It happens, and there's always next round. There's always points to be contended with. It looks like Charlie may be getting held up a little bit here by Sophie and Iceman.
Yeah, obviously, the most difficult thing when you're being lapped or lapping other cars is if other cars are engaging in a little bit of a battle, which looks like Sophie and Iceman are doing. But they've got to be aware that obviously Charlie is coming through and will be trying to clear them as quick as he can. Obviously, Sophie pulling off to the side a little bit, letting Charlie through. But Sophie, obviously, I think she'll try and capitalised on a little bit of slipstream to bring her a little bit closer to Iceman here. But Iceman's got to make the decision now. Does he let Charlie through before the chicane and stay out of any trouble, or will he try and go through? He looks like he's just about letting Charlie through, not wanting to obviously slow down too much, but he manages to move over before the chicane. I think that's the best way to do it. Although Iceman clattering the barrier there, so maybe potentially, obviously having to move out the way of Charlie, did throw him off kilter a little bit there, Kirk.
Yeah, maybe took him offline, and he was expecting the car to have a little bit more grip than what it did, and obviously cost him a position to Sophie. Looking at the front, it looks like Kay Kai is going side by side with Nigel. Probably not the most viable of places, as Nigel gets lapped by Kay Kai, which now gives Kay Kai quite a nice chunk of free areas. It looks like all our drivers are on the back half of the circuit.
Does indeed, and I was just thinking that it was very brave of Nigel trying to race side by side with Katie Kai there. But it just goes to show you, obviously, that even when you're being lapped, these drivers obviously still pushing it and want the best performance for themselves. So I think it's good of Nigel. He's making Katie Kai work for it.
Even if it's a lap down, maybe shouldn't quite be holding up leader in a lap down.
Yeah, I mean, Katie Kai, let's make him work for it.
But yeah, looking at the race so far, so it looks like Koulios is doing quite well, running in fourth. Charlie, as we mentioned a few times in the race, doing very well, carrying over that form from the sprint race up in P3. Fodder, second, running a very nice clean race as well, though it looks like he should be pitting at the end of this lap, looking at that fuel. In Mercedes as well, obviously starting on the hard tyre, running up in P5 at the minute, and possibly already been the first of our drivers to make his final stop. Although looking at that fuel, he may need a little bit more to get to the end.
I was just thinking exactly the same there. It's that enough fuel to get him to the end? It might just be, potentially, but obviously we've still got about say 14 laps to go. It's gonna be tight.
Pedro getting all kinds of nervous through the chicane, almost picking up damage. I think he scraped the wall, but he didn't quite pick up any damage, fortunately.
I think this will, especially for Pedro, I think this will be one of the races that he will want to kind of, scrap, forget about going to the next round, know that the car hopefully will perform a little bit better. But obviously I commend Pedro for, sticking it out, getting some valuable points. Obviously it all helps towards the end of the championship, kind of keep going and see how many points that he can get. Because you never know, obviously we've had one drop out already. Potentially other things could happen as well, which will bring Pedro back into some higher point scoring positions. But we see Fodder coming into the pits, coming off of those soft tyres, picking up a little bit of fuel. Be exciting to see what tyres he goes on for his final stint.
Possibly a set of mediums to the end.
Yeah, I think obviously I'll definitely go for the mediums over the hards, because we've shown obviously Mercedes being on the hards from the start. It's quite a hard tyre. Well, I just realised what I was about to say. It's quite a hard tyre to get used to because it's the hards. My brain wasn't really thinking about that sentence right there.
You got it out in the end, Sarah. The cogs were turning just enough to make the sentence.
The cogs are always turning, not always in the right direction, but we'll forget that. But Midnight has come out just behind Fodder here. Well, I say Fodder just come out in front of Midnight. Is the right way around. See, the cogs were turning the opposite way around there. But Midnight obviously getting back into the race after that mistake that we saw him do earlier when he went over the curbs. So obviously this will be quite an exciting battle to witness between Midnight and Fodder here as they come up to lap Iceman here.
I'm not sure if this is quite Midnight's battle. Yeah, Midnight on quite well, I wouldn't say quite one. Maybe a slightly used medium tyre compared to Fodder's fresh medium tyre. So I think Luke can only really hope. You can only really hope to stay with him, as it looks like that Porsche gets a little bit slidey through the S's. Yeah, not really much going on now, is there, Sarah? Unfortunately.
We're bearing witness to another Katie the Kai masterclass here, making very minimal mistakes, having the track all by, all to himself. So I'm sure he's enjoying it. Obviously Charlie as well, having I'd say one of the races of his life around Seaside Reverse, because again, obviously a few mistakes here and there, but he's capitalised on a few, other drivers around him. Unfortunately, not having the best of races. But he seems kind of switched on into that BMW at the moment, which is good to see. So I'm sure he'll be very happy after tonight if he can keep that P2 position. Obviously, we've still got 12 laps to go, and I don't want to jinx him at all, but let's see if he can keep it. But Koulias as well, obviously starting on the soft tyres, he's definitely made that unique strategy work at the moment. He's currently in that P3 position. Everyone else at the moment is in a good position at the moment, I'd say. Obviously, I think a few battles will start to emerge towards the end of the race. Oh, Midnight!
Oh.
Ouch! I was going to say he's getting very close to that barrier there. I thought he might have just been able to sail through it, but no. Unfortunately, the nose of that McLaren hitting the barrier quite hard, throwing the car back out into the middle of the track. So just as we thought Midnight's race was, flipping around and getting better, unfortunately, that McLaren had other ideas, because front and rear end damage for Midnight there.
Yeah. Luckily enough, he has quite a big buffer to the driver behind in Nigel. But it certainly isn't going to do his hopes of going forward in this race any favours.
No, and I know one driver that will be very happy.
Looks like Koulias is pitting.
It does indeed. What tyres would you suggest for Koulias? Maybe another set of softs to the end, 12 laps? Showed that he could...
I think we saw him get to the end of lap 10 and those tyres were quite dead by the end of this stint. It would have to be probably another set of mediums from this point. If we look about 13 laps to go, I think it definitely would be mediums. If he managed to extend his previous stint a few more laps, I'd say softs, but not at the minute. It'd have to be another set of mediums. But we can stay on board with him, see what he exits the pits from as he takes 72% of fuel and he comes out on a fresh set of mediums. Although behind Midnight, Midnight has got severe damage.
I was going to say, I'm surprised that Midnight has stuck out with that damage there. But obviously, he wants just to get probably that car home and leave it in the garage. But, Pedro moving out of the way of Fodder coming through.
He broke it. He went a bit deep into the hairpin, and which allowed Fodder to sneak up his inside. Although Pedro wouldn't have bought him anyway because he was a lap down, unfortunately.
Koulias looks like he potentially wants to make a move on Midnight here, his fellow McLaren driver. Midnight having got his hazards on at the moment, potentially trying to, warn Koulias that he's not going as fast as what he would like to around this bit. But it'll be interesting to see if Midnight pits at the end of this lap, maybe chuck on a set of softs or mediums just to get him to the end, repair that damage, and hopefully have a little bit of a better drive in that McLaren towards the end of the race. But I've got to say, someone who capitalised on obviously Midnight's mistake and Koulias pitting was Fodder. I'm sure he'll be kind of breathing with a sigh of relief that he didn't have to battle those two McLaren drivers too hard.
Well, it looks like from our top 5, probably the only person who really has to stop again would be Kai, looking at based on fuel wise, and Kai is probably going to take a set of softs to the end from this point. So really I think our set 5 is probably set in stone, apart from Fodder, who is going to be giving it everything to try and catch Mercedes in front of him for the podium.
And just while that was going on as well, Sophie managing to get on the inside of Iceman there, claiming that P9 position. Looks like Iceman went a little bit wide going into turn 1, which did let Sophie through. But good to see these two battling it out again. Just having a quick look through as well. Looks like Midnight potentially might be circulating around to get himself into a window where he can go onto the soft tyres. Because it's quite surprising that he's kept that car out despite that damage. So potentially, maybe he might be a risk for the fastest lap point.
I'm just wondering if I know he's carrying major damage, but I'm wondering if he also got into a little bit of a scuffle on the previous lap as well, because that is even his previous lap is about 7 seconds off what he was doing before he picked up damage.
True, although that car probably is a little bit undrivable at the moment, probably not reacting how Midnight would ideally like. So potentially Midnight just trying to keep that car circulating until he can pit and get himself into that window. But he's got to be careful because Nigel not too far behind, maybe a sector behind. So yeah, I'm sure obviously Midnight will be seeing that time going down and down towards himself and Nigel. But yeah, everyone else, I was just trying to see if anyone else had damage as well. Looks like our top runners are all currently damage free at the moment.
I did just quickly want to mention for this. I know our gaps are all a little bit spread out at the minute, but Boda is currently catching Mercedes at quite a rate of knots, running about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds a lap quicker than Mercedes at the minute, with 9 laps to go, plus with including the one we're on. It could be quite a close battle as we come towards the end of this race, Sarah.
Yeah, and I'm a bit excited to see obviously how the two different strategies have worked. Obviously Mercedes trying his best to make that one-stop strategy work, although that front right tyre of Mercedes does look like it's seen better days. So I don't know if he'll be able to make that tyre last to the end, Kirk.
I think it'll be close, but we saw in the first stint that Nigel could get the medium tyres to do 19 laps, so I think Mercedes should just about be all right. Although he may have to pick the pace up. He may have to keep the pace up ever so slightly if he wants to beat Boda. But again, Boda lapping about 2 seconds a lap quicker than Mercedes on the previous lap.
Good attention to detail there with the obviously the time delta of Foda and Mercedes. Obviously, we're getting to about we've got 8 laps to go ish, so obviously it'll be quite a tight or a tough job for Foda to catch Mercedes. But if anyone can do it, I'm sure that Foda can do it. We're talking about Midnight, who's just come out of the pits. He has gone onto the soft tyres, so potentially. Maybe obviously that fastest lap by Sophia is quite a fast one, but let's see what he can do on those soft set of tyres. Hopefully not some more damage.
Me and you both, that we don't hope to see him pick up any more damage. As he goes very wide into the final 2 proper corners there. Yeah, I think maybe we should stop talking, Sarah, before he puts it in the wall.
Yeah, we'll blame us for jinxing him.
It looks like Pedro maybe picked up a bit more damage as well, front and front left.
Yeah, I was just keeping an eye on that because it looked like Sophie was getting closer and closer to Pedro there. So, yeah, good catch. Obviously, Pedro picking up some more damage, unfortunately, and maybe Sophie potentially looking to capitalise on that P8 position. But we shall see how these two get on. I was going to say quite a quiet race from. These two drivers here, but I think, to be honest, obviously I'm sure a lot of drivers will be eager to forget this race, put it under the carpet, move on, and hopefully not come back to this track in a while because it's a difficult one. And yeah, I think the drivers are doing a good job, but I know obviously that
Sophie goes up the inside of Pedro into turn 1.
Pedro there. Pedro potentially maybe thinking that, yeah, I was going to say, I think we had the same idea there. I think Pedro obviously realising that it's not his race, maybe just let Sophie through, who looks like to be going a little bit faster than what he is at the moment. Although, Sophie hitting the barrier, which has brought Pedro back into the swing of things.
Also, our race leader, Kai, pitting as well.
And Charlie coming up to lap Nigel as well.
And takes the race lead, Sarah.
Yeah. Which I'm sure I'll be very, very happy about. Although, will he be able to get those mediums to the end? Is my question.
I think it'll be close. Well, it looks like he's probably got about a 10-second or so advantage over Katie the Kai. But on fresh softs, Katie Kai is going to absolutely. Oh, he's lucky there. Charlie there, not to pick damage, looks like he scraped the wall on the exit of the death chicane. But yeah, it looks like Katie Kai is probably about 10 or so seconds back. Say with 6 or so laps to go, I think it'd be pretty close between the two drivers. Charlie, if he just takes it, maybe not take it easy, but if he just tries to keep it clean and park that BMW where it needs to be, I think he has a good chance of winning this.
And I think I agree there. And I was looking at Midnight, and I was thinking, obviously, Katie the Kai just come out of the pits just in front of Midnight. This will be a little bit of an unusual feeling for Midnight, I'm sure, because obviously these two here are used to battling each other for positions. But Midnight potentially, obviously, maybe a lap down, or just about keeping himself on the lead lap, maybe potentially. But yeah, I think Midnight will have a little bit of an unusual feeling that he's not battling Katie the Kai for a position. I'm just so used to seeing those two battling.
Yeah. Sorry, Sarah. Charlie's into pit, so we won't have any hunting down from Katie the Kai and Charlie. He couldn't quite make it to the end of the race with his fuel. And probably tyres.
I did think he was cutting it fine, especially on that front right, but and the fuel as well. I didn't realise that he had so little fuel. But obviously 6 laps to go. Maybe some soft tyres, chuck them on, and full throttle to the end.
Looking at Mercedes tyres, I'm not sure. I doubt he's going to make it to the end. It looks like Podium might be able to take the final podium position away from Mercedes.
Podium, that's an interesting but yeah, I think you're definitely right there. Fodder's definitely in the chance with that P3 finish if he can catch Mercedes. Mercedes obviously trying his best to look after that front right tyre, which seems to be the tyre that's causing the most issues for the drivers around here. But I think especially on those final few laps, it's going to definitely hurt Mercedes' pace.
Little bit news, Nigel set his personal best sector in the middle sector, going green ever so slightly, so we could see a little improvement on his personal best time going through the rest of the pack. I'm not sure if anybody else is on the personal best, Sarah.
No, I think everyone's got to that stage where they're just trying to get to the end, and I can fully appreciate that. Talking about Nigel, obviously picking up some damage somewhere. And I've got to say, I think Nigel's done a pretty good job. I think he's obviously picked up damage quite a few times, but a P6 finish at the moment is pretty good going for him.
Katie Kai just smashed the fastest lap of the race by over a second, from a 39.6 from Sophia before she retired to a 38.5.
Even when he doesn't have to push it, he pushes it. He's trying to, what a lap. I think I've never heard you so serious, Kirk. I thought something else was going on there. But I think Katie Kai, taking every inch of the track, using it to himself, and getting the fastest lap. I don't think I've seen anyone set that fast of a lap round here ever. But talking about pit stops, we were a minute ago, Mercedes into the pits, which does promote Fodder into that P3 position. So I think you called it perfectly there, Kirk.
I think Mercedes will be a little bit ahead of Koulias, but maybe a little bit of a battle be able to brew between the two drivers. But Mercedes on a fresh soft, so I doubt it. No, I think Mercedes is just going to pull away on those soft tyres. What can I say? Going back to Katie Kai, Yeah, and not to toot my own horn, but I know I'm not the slowest driver about, or sometimes I feel like it. But sometimes just going on board a K the Kai seems a bit magical, so to speak.
I think when he gets it right, he gets it spectacularly right, and that's tonight. And I think he'll be very proud of obviously the race that he's driven. I don't want to jinx anything, so I don't want to speak highly of him right now. We've still got about 5 laps to go, and like I said, I don't want him to crash into the chicane. So I'll keep my mouth shut, talking too highly about Katie the Kai. But I think, yeah, if he finishes in that P1 position, I think he'll definitely put this race into one of his best races that we've seen from him. It's nothing seems to be stopping him around this track, where everyone else, I think, he had a bit more of a difficult time.
Like, for example, you were saying earlier, Midnight on the soft tyres that was behind Katie the Kai. His fastest lap on the soft tyres is a 40.9, which is again 2.4 seconds off what Katie the Kai did on the same track.
Unfortunately, I think obviously Midnight, after those 2 very big crashes, maybe obviously just wants to get that McLaren, finished, done and dusted. I don't think, especially after those first couple of crashes, that he was in the position to get a podium. It looked potential, it was on the cards right at the start with his good start, but unfortunately, of the 2 big crashes, which we don't normally see from Midnight. We see a couple of spins here and there, but big crashes is not normally Midnight's forte. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be eager to forget this race, and I'll make sure that he doesn't. I'll wind him up by later.
Yeah, no worries. You got to rub it in when you get the chance, haven't you, Sarah?
Yeah, I know. He did the same for me, so it's all fair.
Yeah, he do the same to all of us, we both know. All in good spirits, of course.
Exactly. But talking about obviously positions at the moment, Mercedes, it looks like he's coming up to the back of Pedro here, looking to lap that Lamborghini. But I think Mercedes as well having a pretty good race. Obviously offsetting himself, starting on those hard tyres and going for 2 medium stops. Potentially, obviously, I think towards the end there he realised that the mediums weren't going to last, but I think obviously fully commend him for trying that 1 stop. Normally we don't see a 1 stop working. We used to be able to, especially Midnight, the likes of Midnight, he used to love the idea of a 1 stop, but it seems to be getting harder and harder to make that 1 stop work.
It does, especially in cars that can be cars that are mid and rear engine, where a lot of the weight is over the rear axle, so they do slide a bit more than the front engine vehicles. It can make the tyre wear a little bit difficult, and the car's a bit unpredictable in the corners. Like, I'm sure Pedro unfortunately has found out. Oh, as he unfortunately goes wide again at that little left-hander, should I say.
Yeah, I think you go for it.
I was going to say, Sarah, who do you think of the driver of the day?
I mean, there's a few honourable mentions for sure, but I feel like I don't know, I feel like I should say Katie the Kai, but I also want to say Charlie as well. I think obviously Charlie winning the sprint race, and hopefully, potentially on for a P2. I think he definitely is one of the ones that definitely deserve it. But there's so many honourable mentions that I could pick.
Yeah, well, I think although KDK has done double podium, obviously stealing that 3rd position from Mercedes on the final lap of the sprint race, and what has ended up being quite a comfortable display in the feature race. You don't set a fastest lap that's almost the 2nd faster than anybody else by being slow or not a good driver. But I think based on where Charlie was in round 1 compared to what he's put in for round 2, it's got to be Charlie, Sarah. Winning the sprint race to finish second in the feature, it takes some serious pace and a serious performance, and the serious performance deserves a serious reward. And he will be my driver of the day. So
we actually agreed for once. Oh my god, go us! But but yeah, I think Katie Lakai is definitely, you know, up there with a potential driver of the day. But I feel, Charlie just definitely deserves it for, you know, how well he's driven in that BMW. We've obviously seen him from definitely the end of last season to now. It just shows you, you know, when you get a car that feels right, you can unlock a lot of, you know, performance, and I think he's definitely done that in this round. So hopefully throughout the season we just see him getting better and better, and potentially on the podium and more wins in store for him. But we look like we're on the final lap for the leaders. Sorry to interrupt you there, Coke. And it looks like things are starting to heat up between Midnight and Nigel here. Nigel goes off wide, Midnight follows him off, but Midnight and Nigel going side by side in this squiggly bit, as we call it. Obviously they're a lap down from the leaders. This is their final lap, so it's all for positions here, Coke.
Yeah, it looks like Midnight is going to try. Well, Nigel thinks better off it. Nigel picked in a severe front end damage and costing himself what should have been probably maybe a bit of a comfortable P6 finish, but P6, P7, and certainly nothing to frown about, beating some notable names like Sophie and Pedro, who usually find themselves up a little bit further up the order, struggling a bit this evening. But yeah, I'm sure Nigel should be very proud of his result. And it looks like we go on board with Kaylee Kai to take what was quite a simple win there, a clean race, and avoided damage and avoided any chaos. And it looks like P2 Charlie exiting the final real corner now, finishing second place. A very impressive round. Very impressive round in general as he weaves over the line and takes the driver of the day reward. And the driver who is also now leaving the final, taking up the final position on the podium on the pit straight, as he's going to come over the finish line any second now to take P3, Sarah.
I think definitely a very good race from Fodder there. He had a nice quiet race to start with, and he capitalised on a few people's mistakes for sure. But also great strategy from Fodder. But in P4, coming out of what Kirk likes to call the final real corner, is Mercedes coming around in that P4 position, making that strategy work, and doing a good job fending off some drivers around, like Kulios Kids round the chicane there, coming out of the final corner onto the home straight in that P5 position, and is on he's the last runner of the lead lap. So good job, Kudos.
He is.
He knows he's the only car that's on track still. So he's making my job a lot harder. He's stopping here. Kudos, come on, just finish the race. he's soaking it all up and boasting that he's the last driver on the lead lap. Come on, Kudos. So close yet so far. There we go. But in P6 we have Midnight. And then P7, Nigel, then Sophie, Pedro in that P8 position. Unfortunately, obviously, quite a tough race from Pedro, but he'll bounce back for the next race.
He always does.
He always does. In P9, we have Iceman, and then unfortunately, did not finish was Sophia in that final spot. But what a race, Kirk. Difficult one, but quite an interesting one.
Yeah, we saw lots of battles, even change of position on the final lap between Nigel and then Midnight. We got a little, I know we saw everything, didn't we? We saw, again, similar to what we saw in the sprint race. Great attacking, great defending, a little bit of argy-bargy here and there. There's lots of drama. And lots of contact with the wall, but obviously we know that is quite a common occurrence around here, especially through that chicane.
Yeah, I think, I don't think I would have done as well going through that chicane especially obviously 37 times, especially in that feature race. So good job on the drivers for getting it done. Not an easy race by any means, but I'm sure they'll be looking forward to getting to the next race, and a new race that will be filled with hopefully some new challenges to face. But I couldn't agree more with you. I think personally the drivers did a remarkable job. They should all pat themselves on the back, and especially those as you like to say, podium drivers in in Fodder, Charlie and Kaylee Kai. It was a pleasure to watch them throughout the race, and let's go hear what they have to say.
My initial plan was to run a medium-hard one-stop tire strategy, a plan that I changed late on to a two-stop soft, medium. My aim was to qualify on soft tires with the goal to start at the front row of the grid. This, I strategized, would allow me to avoid the lap 1 problems at the death chicane. This decision, I think, was a good one, and as a bonus, also allow me to run the entire race without any need for either fuel or tire saving. Also, should I sustain any damage, I wouldn't need to pivot to a different strategy by pitting early for repairs. The qualifying session went really well. Prior in practice, I had never achieved a sub-140 lap. On the first attempt, I did a 139 and just went quicker every lap. On the final attempt, I had the luxury to throw caution to the wind and go 100% commitment through the death chicane. This lap was awesome. I'm very proud of it. I don't think I could have gone any quicker. So starting from pole position, my Lamborghini is really slow to 60 miles per hour from a standing start. I was relegated to P2 by Nigel's fast-starting Ferrari. I followed him the first lap, where he lost control on the exit curb of the final corner, allowing me an easy pass. Now clear in first place, I was able to relax, get into a groove, and try to keep consistency. I managed this well, and only sustained damage once, just after regaining the lead from Birdie after my first pit stop hitting the wall of the death chicane. This being my first event of this season, I hope that I can go forwards and maintain this standard, maybe even improve slightly. Although I think this may be a challenge as I was operating at the peak of my abilities. I'm very happy to have improved not only my speed, but also my racecraft. I kept everything clean and made some really nice passes in both the sprint and feature races.
Well, that was a bit of a challenge, Seaside Reverse, not a circuit I've done very often. Done Dragon Trail the normal way around quite a few times, so was hoping that would bode well in terms of experience and try to reverse the circuit in my head as I was going around. I only managed a few practice laps, so I was coming into this quite cold, to be perfectly honest, but surprised myself. Managed to get in a good couple of laps in terms of qualifying, and came out second. No way I was going to challenge Giggles for pole position. He was in a league of his own, essentially well over a second clear of myself, so fair play to him, congratulations, well done. In terms of the race, Phil was in third behind me in the Ferrari, so it was a case of that car's going to launch pretty well, and indeed it did. He managed to blast straight through between me and Giggles and went on into first place for the first corner. Next challenge was getting through the chicane of death on the first lap, hoping that Phil and Giggles were clean through there so that didn't have to back off, could keep at the racing speed, and indeed they did go through quite well. Bit of carnage behind me though, so hopefully that wasn't too bad for those that were slightly further back. Then towards the end of the first lap, I think Phil must have made a slight mistake because I came round and there he was, he'd spun, and put Giggles back into the lead, me into second. From that moment, it was a case of, right, let's get your head down, see what we can do. I knew from qualifying that there was no way of challenging, and just wanted to try and pump in the lap times. My original thought was to go down soft, medium in terms of strategy, but then only managing to do about 7 laps on the softs, in the end, it was a case of, yeah, it's going to be soft, medium, medium. The first stint was good. Didn't get too far behind. Giggles managed to build a gap behind me. And then when Giggles came in, rather than sort of like boxing at the same time as him, thinking we'll probably be on the same sort of strategy in the end, I thought I'd go for a glory lap, lead the race for a lap, just to take that down. Happy to do that. Then the second and third stint were just pretty much straightforward. Keep the lap times in. Just try not to make any mistakes. Managed to clip the wall a few times at the chicane of death, so it was carrying a bit of damage on the middle stint, but that got repaired at the final pit stop. And then towards the end of the race, I was seriously trying to make sure that I kept it really clean going into the chicane of death, and I was lifting quite early, losing a bit of time, and was watching was it Phil and Bertie behind me having a bit of a ding-dong. They were pushing each other along, and I was thinking that okay, I've got my second here, could this end up being a third? Thankfully though, we ran out of laps, and second place it was, so yeah, pleased with that, and look forward to the next race and see where we go.
Well, I came to Dragon Trail with not the highest of expectations, being in the Porsche. It's quite a tricky car to drive around here, so to come away with the podium, I'm really happy with that. Considering I had a pretty terrible start and picked up damage on lap 1, I really had to sort of get my head down and get on with it, and kind of managed to keep in touch with Charlie in front, but the leaders were long gone. Stint 1, managed to do the undercut on Charlie, but was on the soft, so I knew later on in the race Charlie's probably going to have the upper hand, which is exactly what happened. After coming in for my second stop, I was kind of in no man's land, so just had to sort of concentrate on not killing myself through the chicane, bring it home, and finish P3, which, yeah, I couldn't be happier with.
The sprint race here was okay. Worked my way to P3, so I can't complain. The feature race went fine. I was a little bit off pace but managed to hold off Sophia. Gladly I was able to do consistent laps and not crash or get damaged, so in the end secured a good result.
The sprint race was chaotic up front at the start. I think someone ahead missed their braking point into the chicane and nailed either the wall and/or another car. That let some of us get through with more places gained. It was a tight battle with Bertie through the race, and being able to pip him out of the final corner was an awesome moment. Overall, the Lexus ran well, was balanced, and through it I was able to make that sprint race happen.
Had one of my best first laps in a long time. Starting 9th, the plan was just to sit back and take it easy and just let drivers make mistakes in the chicane and pick them off one by one. But with a few incidents on lap 1, I had managed to get up to second position before the end of the lap. It was then a bit harder getting into first due to the lag from Welsh Smurf. So I sat back waiting for a mistake from him. But the mistake came earlier than I expected, as he went wide at the of the SS, which prompted me to first. I knew Phil was a quicker driver than me and saw it went for the move on me into turn 1. So I let him go thinking that I would use him to pull away from the rest, but he then made a mistake into the chicane and I was back to first again. That stayed like that until lap 5, then it was my turn to make a mistake when I outbraked myself, forcing off the track, letting Phil back through. It was then trying not to make any more mistakes, as I had Sitley sat right on the back of me for the rest of the race until the last chicane on the last lap, and I completely take it wrong, which gave Sitley the run on me. Overall it was another good sprint race for me, just a couple of mistakes cost me.
Neon trails where shadows run. Wheels scream loud like a rebel's cry, chasing stars beneath the sky. Nighthawk racing, feel the heat. Supercharged thunder, pounding streets. Neon lights, they paint the dark. We burn the night, we leave our mark. Nighthawk racing, feel the heat. Supercharged thunder, pounding streets. Neon lights. Tires bite hard, the sparks will fly. Turbo hearts, they never lie. Winds our anthem, speeds our creed. Adrenaline's the only need. We grip the edge, we kiss the flame. Every turn, a brand new game. We grip the edge, we kiss the flame. Every turn, a brand new game. Nighthawk racing, feel the heat. Supercharged thunder pounding streets. Neon lights that paint the dark. We burn the night, we leave our mark. Sailpipes glowing like a comet's breath. We flirt with danger, dance with death. Steel and fire, a deadly art. One more lap to claim the heart. Sailpipes glowing like a comet's breath. We flirt with danger, dance with death. Steel and fire, a deadly art. One more lap to claim the heart. So be it. Your wish has been granted.
So they finally used the Dragon Balls to wish Goku back.